Hello and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode or special episode of Breakfast with Boom. It is the annual Black Friday event. No, we're not selling you anything except a great 2 hours of
A hug.
podcasting. Well, listen, shout out to first of all the chat that's already here. Also for hanging out and jumping in early because I had made a mistake because I was setting up the show yesterday during Thanksgiving. And of course, I didn't realize that I put for 10 p.m. and not 10 a.m. because, well, I'm just a knucklehead. But thankfully, everyone reached out to me. Shout out to Sith Lord, was like, hey, Boom, you might want to change that. And of course, I did, in fact, change it. But folks, listen, we are going to have a lot of fun today. One of the major topics, and this is usually a standard fare for the day after Thanksgiving, is we are going to talk about what we are thankful for in gaming for 2023. But we have a couple of big topics to get into. Before we get to those topics, look at this panel. These men are amazing. I'm fans of all their work. I listen to them and work with them on a weekly basis. It's great to have you here. Let's start off with someone that it helped me actually not just launch, but continue the Xbox Factor podcast. That's Pong Soul making his long return. What's going on, brother? How's everything?
Boom, boom, boom. It has been way too long, brother. I'm glad Black Friday happened. I'm glad that you hit me up and said, hey, by the way, you want to show up on the show? Absolutely, because I've got the day off for a change, and I can actually make a Boom show. So yeah, it has been way too long, brother. Obviously awesome to be here with Crispy as well. I have not podcasted with Crispy, and I don't remember when's the last time I got to talk to Crispy. And of course, my brothers from another, all here, part of the family. Yep. What a great morning. And of course, chat. It has been, some of you guys I see all the time in a lot of our shows, right? We got a lot of that crossover, but I'm thankful to be here today to get to see everybody else who I don't always get to see as well. So, man, we got a lot of great topics to get into, Boom. Gaming has been absolutely stellar over this year, and I can't wait to talk about some of this stuff, Boom. Glad to be here, man.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. And another alumni of the Xbox Factor podcast, our very good brother, all the way from Texas, Mav. What's going on, my brother? How was your Thanksgiving with the family? I'm sure the missus did what she always does and put a meal together worthy of a queen and a king.
Oh, you know it. Yeah, I'm in a food coma today. I almost didn't make the show because I was like, sleep is good. And yesterday I was full. So yeah, but I'm super happy for this panel you've assembled, Boom. It's amazing. I don't recognize a lot of these guys. I mean, who are these people?
Who are these strangers?
We're all new. We're all new to podcasting.
And Crispy, I don't know any of you guys.
I don't even know myself. So
it's great to be here with y'all for the first time, for sure. You know, but no, seriously, man, it's awesome to be back here with you, Boom. I was scheduled to be on a show with you last week, and due to technical difficulties, I didn't work.
Thank goodness you got it working, bro.
But yeah, super happy to be here now, and I know it's going to be a super fun time. So let's go.
Yeah, we're gonna have fun, man. We're gonna have a lot of laughs. And the first topic is humorous for a multitude of reasons. You folks are really gonna dig this because it might be a little slanderous, and there might be some people on the panel that are kind of gonna stick them in the ribs. But let's welcome in Steel Rain, my brother from another one half of Living Split Screen, which you hopefully will have a show tomorrow. And if you do, Mr. Boomstick will be listening as he's making breakfast for Mrs. Boom. Hopefully, we do our 5-mile hike tomorrow. It's going to be a little chilly. I think for us, when we get up, it might be in the 20s. Mrs. Boom's limit is 30. So if it's under 30, we don't go. Me personally, we've tried it, and it is a little tough, but I'm hoping we can get a little bit above 30, and we get that 5.3-mile hike in. First of all, brother, how was your Thanksgiving, and how you feeling?
Well, to start off with, my Thanksgiving was quite swell, like if I have to say. And then secondly, I am Mr. Live Raw and Uncut himself, Mr. Steel Rain, one half of the Living Split Screen dynamic duo. The home where you get that RTS perspective, a little bit of that ECP, but enough of that because we will be live tomorrow, Boom, just to let you know, and everybody in chat know. But with that said, I think we do have some fire things to get into. You see the panel lineup where you hit me up in the DMs, Boom, with the type of week that it's been. I was definitely ready and roaring to go today. Just to chop it up with my brothers because I knew the kind of panel that we were going to have today. Again, Crispy being Gear's brother, my fellow. I got my cog tags up. If I had my camera on, you'd be able to see it.
My tags are right here. They're hanging literally from my Lancer, which is a special edition that is worth a ton of money. Yeah, I got my cog tags ready to rock and roll.
Oh yeah, I've been thinking about maybe I need to go get some iced out cog tags or something now. But nonetheless, greatly appreciate you having me, Boom. Brothers, glad to have you guys here. I always love being able to chop it up with people who add what would I say, substance to a conversation, especially in something that you're passionate and is a hobby for you. So much love.
Well, much love to you as well, brother, and someone that is going to give the crispy truth as he always does. Crispy Bomb, what's going on, brother? How was your Thanksgiving?
Oh, it was amazing. I think I'm still full. And the highlight of my night was my 3-year-old nephew looking at me when I walk up with the plate, and he says, "That's too much." And I just sat there and I looked at him like, I'm going to clean that plate, young man. And, and then I went back for more, and I showed him the clean plate, and he looked at me, and his eyes just got big, and he's like, "What?" Like,
where did it go? Where did it all go?
It went in my leg the first time. The second time, I think it actually went into my stomach, but we'll see about that. But I'm feeling great today. Had some great food. I hope everybody else did. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to these gentlemen. Many of you I haven't done a podcast in a long time with, so I think we're gonna have a lot of fun here, and we got a little slander. I mean, it just happened.
A little fun. We're gonna have a little fun.
It is what it is, right?
We're gonna have a little fun. And last and no way least, the best racer among us all, who will leave us in the dust anytime he gets behind the wheel. Fuzzy Belvedere, what's going on, brother? How was your Thanksgiving?
Oh, it was great. Still feeling the, I guess you could say, a little bit of the coma left over from yesterday, but still, man, it's awesome to be here with everyone here. Always great to, chop it up, especially on hobby we all enjoy and stuff. But man, we got some pretty interesting topics, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna have some slander to bring this morning. But yeah, I'm
well, we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna open up with some fun. First of all, let me thank the 210 people already here. We're only 8 minutes into the show, so thank you so much for checking out Double Barrel Gaming. Of course, if you are finding the channel for the first time, folks, we are officially 304 subscribers away from 14K, and obviously we'd love to hit that before the end of the year. We still have a month and some change. I think we can do it. I'm going to be pushing all week. Hopefully, if you haven't already been subscribed, that you decide to join the channel and subscribe, because obviously I do this 5 days a week, 5 different panels, 5 different shows, and all phenomenal content, folks. Guess what? We don't sell you hate. We don't hate manga, and we certainly don't clickbait to get you to sub to channel. Just a lot of great conversation, and sometimes, and every now and again, like today's show, you're going to get some opening slander because, well, if the shoe fits, mama said, then you better wear it, son. And that's what we're going to do when we start talking about the PlayStation Portal. Folks, the more that comes out about this thing, the less likely this is going to be a success, even at $200, because, well, as we all know, this thing is a brick without a $550 PlayStation 5. And even when you have your $550 PlayStation 5, this thing has been known to kind of not really work as it's expected to. Well, yesterday we learned, like I said, this is the end of the year. You expect news to kind of settle down. We're just all playing games. We're all doing our thing. And we have learned that Sony is going to count the PlayStation Portal as a console sale. Now, I'm going to go first to Fuzzy Belvedere, because he put out a tweet that not only I loved, I had to share with the world, because, you know what? I'm not even going to paraphrase. I'm going to let the man himself say it. Could you please explain to the fine folks that are here why this is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard? And once again, Sony just, well, They're just being Sony.
Well, see, the funny thing is, we remember hearing from their investment call that they were a little off track as far as the numbers that they wanted to reach by the end of the year. They wanted to sell, I think, like 25 million consoles this year, and they were off by a bit. But now that we're hearing that this is going to count as a console, is that going to pad that number to meet their goal, or at least to the board members? But the thing I responded was like, wait, the device that requires a PS5 console to function will count as a console sale in addition to the console you already purchased, since you have to have that to use it. It's like it's like you're almost your mind is going in circles trying to figure out how is this counted as a console. It's not a standalone device, and everybody's quick to say, oh well, they're going to do the PS Plus streaming. Right now that's not possible. So if that's not possible, then why are they even talking about counting it as a console? Like, if it comes after the fact, then it should count from that point forward. But like right now, I don't understand how they're counting this as an actual console sale as opposed to an accessory, since this is technically an accessory for your already purchased
It's not
PS5.
technically. It's all that it is.
This thing has been like the weirdest, I don't know, like device I've ever seen, especially considering it doesn't have a web browser, which they could have added a web browser, even if they're afraid of the whole Game Pass thing, people playing Game Pass on it or whatever, because I've found a way to like not really hack my PS5, but access the browser. You can bring up the Game Pass page. You just, once you log in, it doesn't function because they don't have the most up-to-date browser to allow for that functionality to work. But this thing not having a browser makes it a brick outside of like using your phone as a hotspot, which if you're using your phone as a hotspot, why not just use the free app on your phone? I don't know, but I'm pretty sure everybody else has got some hot takes on this. This is a downward spiral, I think, for Sony as far as trying to either match numbers or meet numbers that they've set ahead of whatever forecasting they wanted to reach, and if they're not able to reach it, hey, let's just make numbers up as we go. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. Now, I had watched a video that was sent to me, and I'm trying to think of who actually sent it. Because hold on a sec. Let me get let me give credit where credit is due, because I hate not doing that. Who
Do it.
that sent me this? Was it? No, it wasn't. And sometimes I just want to punch myself in the face. I hate when I do this. Okay, so listen, you know what, Pong, I'm going to go to you while I go and I look for this. Who sent me this? First of all, there was a video that I watched. It was a review. The name of the content creator is The Wolf Den. WULFF Den. I am now subscribed. Who is this man? Who is this content creator? Well, he has 860,000 subscribers. So apparently, well, he is pretty stout in the community when it comes to content creation. And he put out a video called PlayStation Portal, A Remarkable Failure. And what's interesting, folks, is you say, well, did this man, who is this guy to go against Sony? Would a content creator who was sent both the console, or that lack thereof, the device and the earbuds to go with it? Yes, he was in fact sent this by Sony, and he spoke the truth. It is, how long is this video? 22 minutes and 5 seconds, and it is the most real review, I think, and not because he dumps on it, because he just talks about what it does good, but he goes into the very technical specs of why this thing is, well, in his a remarkable failure. But Pong, let's continue the conversation of counting this thing as a console sale, because you said something to me in the green room, and I'd like you to repeat that, because it makes sense and it doesn't make sense at the same time if you were like Xbox trying to count things.
Well, I mean, where are we at? I saw lots of people tweeting, but as I said to Boom before we just went live, well, then Boom just bought another Xbox console because he just got a brand new Samsung TV.
Yes, sir.
And this TV, actually, does more than the portal, but it plays Xbox games. Nate,
I just got to hook a controller.
Yeah, you just got to hook up a controller. Same difference, right? So you got another console. You got another Xbox console. I mean, again, I saw, who was it, Jez or somebody yesterday said, I think it was Jez. Well, then Xbox should start counting surfaces, right? Any surface that they sell should be counted as an Xbox console, right? This is, and for anybody who doesn't know kind of the background, Matt Piscatella, who does great work. Again, he's been in the industry for a long time. And he handles all the sales stuff for Circana, it's now called, right? And they do all the sales tracking. And he put out a tweet that stated, just an FYI, to those who might care, PlayStation Portal will be tracked as a new hardware platform with spending included in, with spending included in the hardware total per manufacturer request. Yes, I know. Again, you don't have to care. He deleted that tweet. So either he wasn't supposed to talk about it and got the knock on the door from Sony's Goon Squad, or he made a mistake, but he hasn't said anything since then. So obviously, if it was a mistake, I would assume he would have put out a follow-up tweet explaining it. I'm going to go along the lines that he wasn't supposed to talk about it, at least as far as saying that Sony requested this. This is Sony fudging in the numbers.
Of course it is. Yep.
This is again, as Fuzzy brought up, for the shareholders. As always, it's not for the consumers per se. It is for the shareholders. It is to make themselves look better. But there is no way that you can count the portal as anything other than an accessory. We all know what it is. All the information's out there. It doesn't work without a console itself. So how do you count this as a console? It doesn't play any games natively. It doesn't even have cloud functionality at this point. So
never will.
Well, yeah, right. The rumors are they're going to try, but again, this is dumb. This is plain stupid. This is playing with the numbers. Now, again, every time we see the numbers, we're going to have to go, yeah. Give us those portal numbers separately so we can minus those out of there. For those of us that do care about that stuff. This, I just don't understand it, Boom. But again, if they want to play this game, everybody else should. I mean, hell, Nintendo should probably go back and redo the Wii U numbers, right? They sold 2 consoles every time they sold 1 box, right? Because they had the Wii U controller in there.
Yep.
So they got to count all those Wii U controllers.
Double it up.
Plus the extra ones, double it all up. So they're probably close to, I don't know how many people bought extra Wii U controllers. They're probably close to 50 million units sold now.
The number was originally 10 million sold. I think it was like 10 million. It wasn't a lot. It was bad.
Lifetime is like 13 and a half, I think, right now, right?
26. Let's go.
So
26,
26, 27, plus all the extra Wii U controllers. Hell, they might be at 40, 50 million consoles sold. Wii U didn't sell so bad, folks. I got to make jokes because this is ridiculous. I don't know how they can even get away with this. I can't believe that they have the power to go in and request and say, hey, you know, that accessory we're selling, go ahead and count that on our console sales. I don't get it, man. I just don't get it. But this is Sony fudging the numbers. Yep. This is just for the shareholders. This is for that stock price that has been up and down, but certainly nowhere near what it once was. Yep. And I think they're just trying to recover a little bit of that. Pretty funny
I mean, it's a great point. And Green Goblin in the chat, first of all, welcome, brother. He says you can't even access PlayStation Plus on the portal either.
Do nothing. You can't do. All it does is mirror what's on your PlayStation 5. That's all it does.
Yes, it absolutely does. So real quick, we have 2 super chats. Bold Alpha Wolfpack, generous friend of the program and, of course, the community. He drops a $20 super chat, and he says, a 20 spot just because this panel is built like the Avengers today. Indeed it is. Thank you for the kind words and the generosity. Gerald Mack out there in these streets drops an outstanding $2 super chat, and he says, I got a new Samsung TV too, Boom. It's the Q80C65. Congratulations, brother. Enjoy the H out of it.
It's an Xbox console. There you go, J-Mac. Way to go. You own a couple of them now.
Another one to add to the list. Speaking of new TVs, I got a new TV. I bought the matching soundbar that came in on Tuesday. What I didn't realize is that you kind of need an optic cable, which I had to get, which is here. Yes. So I'm gonna actually do that after the show and do some things. I got my Spider-Man 2 plates for the PS5. Finally, for the love of Jehovah, they came in. So I'm very excited about that. So I got some work to do. But speaking of work, Mav, let's bring you into the conversation. Sony fudging the numbers for the investors, trying to get this, as some people are calling it, an abomination of a console to go and pad the numbers for PlayStation 5. I mean, listen, let's be real here, Mav. The PlayStation 5 is selling really well. It has been selling well since its inception. Obviously, we know that there is some scandal behind all the scalpers buying it, but it does sell relatively well. It's the best-selling PS5 PlayStation console to date. They are beating their own numbers. I don't know if they need to pad the numbers. What are your thoughts on this ridiculousness?
Oh man, this is very interesting. I have no idea why they care to do that. Personally, it's just kind of strange. It's got to be for it. You would want to hope it's not for like bonus reasons. If they have like certain metrics to hit for hardware sales or something like that. I mean, they already have the lead in hardware, right? Over Xbox, but like in a weird way, I almost want to say maybe it's either that or they gotta try and present to their board that they have a competitor to the Switch, right? Potentially, I don't know.
Is that how they got it passed, Mav? That's how they got it greenlit. We got a Switch competitor.
I mean, why does this thing even exist in the first place? You know what I mean? It's just the stupidest thing I've ever seen before in my life. I don't understand it. It's a phone that has a half chopped DualSense controller smashed around the sides of it that just shakes a little bit. Yay, that's cool, right? I mean, we all have phones, and I will say, if you want to count like actual usability, every PC should count as an Xbox console now, right? If it's Windows based, especially, because that's actually Microsoft software running the operating system for everything
Same thing
there.
on
So
Xbox. Yep.
you know, we got, and how, if you add that to the revenue for Xbox, oh my God, all those $2,000 PCs and $5,000 PCs, all those PlayStation guys own, it's going to be insane when Xbox starts racking up all this hardware sales for to count. PlayStation Portal is a joke. Now to think that it's going to fudge their numbers as well. Maybe that's why it exists. That's the only reason, is so they could put a lie through their books. I don't know, man. This thing's stupid. I haven't fully watched that video yet, Boom, but I can't imagine like releasing a device that does literally nothing than just console stream. That is literally the stupidest thing I have ever thought of. And to think that if you want it, cool, go for you. They're targeting you. If you're the person that wants this thing, you're the target. That's cool. But for the masses and for the market out there, I just don't understand why you would pay $200 for something that your phone can do, that a tablet that you already own can do, that your PC can do. All of these different things like you already have the capability, right? I'm baffled by this thing. Using it to make the hardware sales seem larger than they are and not counting it as an accessory. I challenge any PlayStation fan that doesn't own a PlayStation 5. If you're a PS4 owner, go to the store, get your new PS5 today. Go get that PS5 Portal for $200, take it home, and enjoy playing your PS5 games. I challenge you to play a PS5 game without owning a PS5. We'll see how that hardware treats you.
I mean, we all know that it's basically a paperweight. I'll put it to this way: the PlayStation Portal is as useless as a PS5 controller without a PlayStation 5. Like if you held a controller in your hand, I got this. And don't get me wrong, I know I'm in the minority here. I really do like the DualSense. I like the haptic triggers. I know it's not for everyone, and I hear you. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I don't like the microphone in there. I like all that crazy stuff. And you know what? It's simplistic, but it's also very technical at the same time. I like what they did with it. It's probably my favorite PlayStation controller to date, to be honest with you. And I really enjoy using it. Like I said, for me, the best way that they taught us how to use this thing was with Astrobot. I platinumed that game. That game was a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed it. This thing, like I said, is as useless as a PS5 controller without a PlayStation 5. Why it exists at $200 and it's stripped to nothing. It's bare bones, as bare bones you could possibly get. Like I said, I've heard some people, equate it to a luxury item. I've heard people say it's just like buying a controller. Hey, good on you if you want to spend $200 on this thing. I don't see the real world use outside of sitting on the can and potentially being in your room, and you don't want to go into your room. I mean, I mean, go turn on your console. I don't know. I will say this that you want to say something, Steele?
No, I was gonna.
No, that wasn't me.
I was gonna say, Boom. It's very interesting how there is a kind of competing mindset within Sony, right? That they are at this point talking about some of the same things that Xbox has been talking about for a very long time, expanding their user base, getting more engagement, right? They're starting to have those talks. They're talking about games as a service games to keep that engagement up. They're talking about this, Portal as being kind of an extension of your PlayStation 5 to allow players to play more places where they want to, like Xbox has been talking about for a very, very, very long time. And yet they have a lockdown ecosystem still. Yet they're more like Apple, where they don't want you going outside and experiencing more than just PlayStation. They've done this with the VR2, right? People told them, make the VR2 compatible with PC out the box. So that way you have a wider audience that will purchase the VR2, but the VR2 is nothing but a glorified accessory at the end of the day, because you need a PlayStation 5 in order to play it. Obviously, again, it's no good. People want to say that VR2 games are first party titles that we should count as exclusives. Yeah, but you've got to own a PlayStation 5. You can't just buy a game and plop it in your PlayStation 5. No, you got to have the PlayStation 5 and the VR2. Again, they're talking a lot of this stuff. They're talking a lot of this stuff about expanding their audience, about how the console market is capped, all this kind of stuff. And they seem to, on one hand, want to do things to change that, but then on the other hand, they go and create things like the Portal that are worthless outside of the PlayStation ecosystem and outside of owning the console. This is two competing ideas, and you're not going to get anywhere because you're fighting yourself. And again, I understand you want to have that Apple mentality, that you've got the premium experience and that your enthusiasts, your hardcore fans are going to buy these types of things like the Portal, but it doesn't do anything for the wider audience. It doesn't do anything to help expand out that base that you say is capped, that Jim Ryan's on camera multiple times talking about. It doesn't do anything for you. I don't understand this mentality at all. It's odd. It's odd.
Do you guys think that there's a possibility here that they're hoping for confusion from the market, that they actually think it's a console, so that people just buy it, then
the market already thinks that. The market already thinks that.
We heard that from Psychonauts, right? Psychonauts works at GameStop now, and he just said in the chat again, you wouldn't believe how many people are coming in, and he has to educate them that this is not a standalone device, that you can't download any games, that you can't play anything on it if you don't have a PlayStation 5.
People ordering them online aren't going to get that education. People going to like a place like Best Buy probably aren't going to. They're just going to grab it off the shelf or whatever too. You know what I mean? It's just like,
there's also consumer
Smoke and mirrors
responsibility.
campaign. Come
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
We live in a digital era. There's no reason for you to be ignorant unless you want to
Agree.
purposely be ignorant. So,
Yep.
as far as that goes, let me jump in here before we pass it off to the magnificent brother Crispy. So here I go. I'm probably going to sound like the contrarian, but this is just how I honestly feel. So, Boom, you asked about $200 accessories, right?
Right.
You know, you said good for you if you spend that type of money. You guys know how much the Elite Controller 2 was when it released?
Oh yeah,
$200.
of course.
$200, right?
Yeah.
So this is the argument that I made last weekend on Live and Split Screen, that for me, at least personally, I can understand why you would create an accessory to have continuous access to your console.
Sure.
For me, I do not see the point in spending, for an example, an exorbitant amount of money for another phone, because I'm not playing games off of my phone. I have a case on my phone, a life-proof case that I'm not going to take off every time that I need to slide it into a Razer Kishi, every time that I want to connect it to a control. I tried the whole clip on the controller thing. That's not comfortable for me.
No, it's
not comfortable for most kids, to be quite frank. So, and I know that could be something easy for us who are enthusiasts, but I like to, again, RTS perspective, let me pull myself back a little bit more. It is hard for me to say, oh, well, this thing is dumb. It doesn't make any sense, because if I can spend $200 on an Elite controller that has stick drift, that has bumpers that break, that has grips that come off, still in its second iteration, how can I complain about a device that has a screen on it, is somewhat, again, I can still say that it's half baked. It is. It looks like very minimal effort went into this device. And one of the points that I brought up to Pong, I believe that was last night, was I don't get how the Switch is as old as it is, and you didn't get any of the hardware to bare minimum fit that into this device so that you could have some form of better cloud accessibility, better internet accessibility. No, the point was you didn't want that, because what that would create is people to play games other ways.
Correct.
Yes.
PlayStation right now, Sony right now, that's why the PC transition is so weird and so strange for people. They don't want that. PlayStation, if they could, at the end of the day, would keep everything on their device. If you're not exactly to that Apple mentality Paul was speaking to, if it's not in their ecosystem, why would you do anything else? Like, and people are mentioning in the chat, there's no Bluetooth. There's just things in this device. What year are we in? Right? So there's things that I can definitely speak out against it and say, well, these things don't quite make sense to me. Having a proprietary headphones that you have to get to use this device, people all of a sudden defending 3.5 millimeter jacks in their headphones. Like, bro, again, I have to ask you, what year are we living in? I'm not saying that people don't have these headphones anymore, but I don't have a CD player in my pocket anymore. I don't have an MP3 player in my pocket anymore that I have to hook up my my brand new Sony headphones to. That's just, we live in 2023. Things have moved on. I don't even use the headphone jack in my controller anymore, as an example, but that's just me, and I know other people do. But again, for me, I can understand as an accessory why it makes sense, and I've seen people make it make sense, right? For them, if you're already invested into the PlayStation ecosystem. But outside of that, this is definitely another example to something that I've been speaking to for at least the last decade, in Sony's lack of vision. I personally, outside of, and when we're talking about how they're fitting this into the whole hardware narrative now, I personally do not understand what their true goal is anymore. I thought it was making these top of the line games, not really focusing on multiplayer, focusing on hardware. You know, I thought that just because that's something that they've always been good at. But now when you're telling other hardware manufacturers, hey, we might want to consider those. I'll let you know. I'll send an email through, but we might consider that batch as part of these console sales. Although, like you guys brought up, you have to buy a $500 console to get access. And for anybody praying for cloud support in the future, I pray to God that it has a Snapdragon processor in there.
Yeah.
Because if it does not, at bare minimum, you're not getting cloud connectivity on a $200 device. I also made this point. If I paid $200 for my controller, my Elite controller, Why would I have faith that a controller cut in half with a screen on it, just because the screen looks cute, is going to be of more benefit to me or has some true value to it? But maybe that's me being skewed to what I see as value now, right?
Yeah.
Because again, $200 for the PlayStation Portal, that is, yes, also confusing the wider audience. I know we say I made the point to Psycho, but I frequent very many different streets: Facebook, YouTube, Reddit, all these different places, because just to have an informed opinion. And everybody is hyped for it because it's like, oh man, PlayStation going back to their roots, PlayStation Portal, man, that's gonna dope. I can't wait to get that. And then you have people underneath their comments saying, hey, no, it's not that. It's, you have to have a PlayStation 5 to play. Oh no, it's not. You can't use your headphones with that device. It's you still have your wired headphones, right? It's a 3.5 jack. You got to use that. Oh, you want to stream with it? No, you can't do that either, outside of games that you have specifically purchased on your PlayStation 5. So it is another kink in the armor for sure. It is another play, at least to me, in the loss of vision that Sony has had, in my personal opinion. Again, I'm not somebody who's invested into the PlayStation platform currently, because I do not have a reason. None of their AAA games have given me a reason. The VR doesn't give me a reason. The PlayStation Portal definitely doesn't give me a reason. As a matter of fact, if it does anything, it's showing me that they're trying to be like Microsoft in some ways, but don't know quite how to get there, and are doing little steps to try to fill in that gap, at least in my perspective.
They're fighting themselves. Real quick, Steel. Real quick question though. Question to your point, real quick. Can you use the PlayStation Portal with your PC or your TV or your laptop?
No, you can't use it with nothing else.
Oh, can you use your Elite Series 2 with a PC, TV?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay, all right,
yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
So a little bit more functionality, even as an
My
accessory.
man.
Right?
Well, I mean, let's talk numbers, folks. Crispy, I want to bring you in because I was doing the math, as I like to do. So this is before tax, folks. If you were someone that wanted to invest in VR, like say, for instance, your VR 2.0, right? You would have to, before tax, buy a $550 PlayStation 5. The cheaper version of the VR without the game is $600. So that's $1,150 before tax. If you were someone that had a PlayStation 5, or we're going to go buy a PlayStation 5 in the same time, go buy a Portal, that's $550 for the console, $200 for the device. Oh, and if you like, earbuds that you kind of wear wirelessly, that's an additional $200, because you can't add any other wireless headsets except for Sony's $200 device releases. So it ultimately is going to cost you $400 for wireless headphones and a PlayStation Portal. In order to be able to use that, you're going to need the $550 before tax PlayStation 5. This sounds very Apple, if you ask me.
That's no games.
Yeah,
too,
and by the way, is 0 games at this point. Crispy, this double dipping number counting thing seems nefarious. And the fact that a tweet was deleted says it's worth its weight in volume. Let's get your hot take on this.
I mean, I'll be fair for a second. Okay. PlayStation does what PlayStation does.
Right.
And this is an accessory, clearly. You need a console to power the thing. This is going to be my whole point. Power. Your cell phone that you might have in your hand right now, typing away in the chat or whatever else, has more processing power than this Portal. Okay? You already have it. Yes, you spent more money, but we constantly use it. Okay? It's constantly used for whatever we want. Gaming, text messaging, just searching the web, all these things that this thing cannot do. Does the screen look good at times? Sure. I have seen these reviews that, are biased towards PlayStation and probably have a ridiculous internet connection at a certain point, and it looks good. I'm fine with that. But those people that are not like us, like Xbox gamers, that say the gripes and say them frequently, that's the problem. Okay? We've been calling out and saying, xCloud, you're still in beta. You haven't even fully released yet. What are you doing? There's a reason why they're doing that. Because it takes a little less heat off them. And they continue to develop it. Sony's just like, screw it. We're just going to be a Wii U 2.0. When really they had the solution to begin with the original PSP or PS Vita. They had the solution in their grasp, and they didn't do it. Because at the end of the day, your Portal has zero processing power. It can't even search the web. Let's be honest. In this day and age, if you can't use the web on a device that's supposedly a console, you're done. You can get a Series S for $230 right now. I'm dead serious.
I seen it for as low as $179, dude.
And I'm going to tell you right now, those Seagate expansion storage drives are much cheaper right now. And on top of that, you got WD Black coming in. They're going to start, messing with stuff too. Xbox is saying, you know what? You got tech that I don't want to spend money on. By all means, do you, like Seagate did in the beginning. You want to partner with us? Cool. Awesome. We're going to challenge you on certain price points at certain times. And this is the time where they're like, yo, let's drop this 1 terabyte at $129. I bought it 6 months ago at $129. But right now, with inflation and all these other things, you're looking at that like that's a deal. Because it really is compared to, prices about other things. But you look at the Series S, and it's like you could buy a whole console that you can search the web with, by the way. Just telling you. You know what I mean? They want you to use Microsoft Edge. Trust me. Microsoft is looking at different realms. Sony's looking at taking that and the PSVR 2 at some point when they are hurting bad and giving a great deal, like an $800 with the console and the peripheral with the VR2, and then having, the Portal on the side. And that is what they're doing. They're setting you up to say, wait, I bought this all at full price. But you guys won't call it out. See, Steele, I disagree with you. The Elite Series 2 is far more valuable in my eyes than a Portal would ever be.
Do you have a PlayStation?
You know what I'm saying? I don't care to have a PlayStation. They don't have multiplayer exclusives. I've said this 1,000 times. They don't. They decided to kill them all. And they continue to not make anything. I mean, I probably would have bought a PlayStation 5 if they came out with Spider-Man 2 with actual co-op. That's all I was looking for. And you see people like Angry Joe, who's been a shill for them for years. Be like, dude, you couldn't bring out co-op? Like, seriously? There's comes a point in time where Sony is too far behind, and they continue to hurt themselves by bringing out an accessory, and then they decide to call it a console. And then we could sit there and say, oh, you got a brand new phone? You got a new Xbox console. There you go. Because it has more processing power than that stupid Portal. Sorry. If it's a Samsung phone now, they're partnered with Samsung. Guess what? You have a new Xbox console. And you know what? Xbox might F around and find out and see how people react. Because most of the people, that are big, like the media that we somehow call out all the time, and people are like, oh, they're fine, this is exactly what it is, are saying that this is a console. This is not a console. See, they shouldn't be saying that Sony's saying that. What they should be saying is, why is Sony saying that?
And they won't.
And they won't, but that's okay. Because at the end of the day, when somebody's doing something right, and yes, I know the rewards and stuff is not the same. Xbox just spent a ton of money, and now they're in this thing with this AI thing, which, I mean, they're probably looking at as like being one of the biggest things in the world. But also, I've seen Microsoft pull things back and be like, "Hey, let's develop more." You know what I mean? Let's be logical here, and that's because of the leadership they have now. This was not the case before. It was like go all for the money. And yes, they're making money, but also they have pulled back. They have gotten heat for things. Even the Activision deal. How many times has that stock dropped way down and then come way back up? You know what I mean? Yeah. So they're playing with fire, and they know that, but they're also being logical about it. Sony's just like, hey, you're going to pay me. Take it. Give me your money. That is it. And I have a problem with that. And that's why I haven't bought a Sony product in years. I mean, if you told me I get a new age TV, okay, that can do whatever I need it to do, okay, include just playing my Xbox Series X, okay, get a PlayStation 5 and a Portal and the VR 2.0 for, let's say, $1,500 or $2,000, depending on the tech of the TV and the size of it. I'm good with it. Okay, I will spend that money because I will get that total on bundle. But that's what I think they're setting themselves up for, because you can all look at this new iteration of the PlayStation 5, and this looks like something that you could buy from China. You know,
well, I mean, we're not going to go into so much to the look of it is an abomination. There's no doubt about it. But
but it looks cheap. It looks cheap. I mean, come on, let's be serious. Like, it looks like what do they call it? The Game Station 5. Like, you know, if you go and buy something that looks like it from, you know, Temu or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, that's literally what it looks like. And I'm like, bro, like, this is your new iteration. Like, does it not have this liquid metal thing going on in there as well? Like, I can stand it up, because I'm seeing more and more videos of that. Wow, so I question where Sony is heads at. I feel like they're just trying to take people's money, you know, charge them more, as Everborn would say.
Yes. No, I mean, listen, you make a significant amount of great points, and ultimately this is a thing that is they're going to use to pad the numbers. That's ultimately what it is. Mm-hmm. Don't get fooled by the banana in the tailpipe. And, you know, and Steele, I'll let you add your final point before we move on to the next topic. But real quick, why so serious in the chat, who's always here each and every show? He says, don't worry, guys, a Portal remake will come with Bluetooth. And
that'll be the real PSP.
At least you could use your Pulse 3D headsets with it, because you can't even use those, which is a Sony product,
which is unbelievable. This is just dumb, but it's still.
Will it be $10 more?
It'd be $10 more. It'd be an upgrade. Yeah, if you get
Bluetooth subscription.
No, it'd be $100 more. It's a whole device.
Okay.
My goodness.
It'd be $300 instead of $200.
The real console edition.
Exactly. It'll be the real PSP.
So let's, gentlemen, we still have two topics we're going to get into. Obviously, I am going to pull a topic. I'm going to pull one because obviously, unless you guys want to hang around, that's up to you. You know, obviously, usually with 2 hours in and out, because you can start your Friday. Steele, anything you want to add before we go on to the next topic?
Oh no, I was just gonna say there wasn't much. The only thing that I was gonna say is I do want us to make sure that we're being real with ourselves as far as when we advertise these different other devices that have access to the Xbox ecosystem, and pitching them as if that's going to be one of the better ways to access your content. Sure, it may be for us, because we're going to be the first ones to experiment with that stuff, try it out, see how it works. We're going to have the internet for that type of thing. But that's not something that I would pitch to the person making $30,000 a year. for that, or making literally almost, I would say, anything around that. For the person that is living check to check, wants something for the kids, I wouldn't say, oh, go get this TV, spend $1,500 on a TV, spend $1,000, go get a TCL TV just because it has this app on it. No, I would tell them to go get a Series S. So because it's going to be the better device and they're going to have the better experience. Because there's just too many things dependent. There's still the realistic side to it, right? Internet still isn't where it needs to be. Again, the country average.
In this country, for sure.
I believe right now is currently 40 megs down. I have a gig down. I'm only getting 30 megs up. So it's like, and that's the highest that I can get in my area, right? So it's like not everybody has access to have a great experience like that, which is another knock to the PlayStation Portal itself, right? Because it's trying to speak to a particular audience, which is why I continue to ask, is like, hey, well, do you have a PlayStation? Because if you do, I can see you making an excuse or giving yourself a reason to why this can be beneficial for you. Again, people are doing it. Obviously, it's working for some people. Now, could we sit back and say, oh, they're lying to themselves? Sure. But could say those same people turn to us and say, oh, you're lying to yourself about Starfield, or you're lying to yourself about Redfall, or you're lying to yourself about Halo, the other game that we're going to talk about today? Yeah, we could. But again, I do want to iterate that the PlayStation Portal is exactly as we all stated what it was. It is a money grab. This is something else to, like we always have the conversation with someone in the chat. This is that baby step, no pun intended, right? To fill in that gap, because we all know Sony doesn't know how to fill that gap. To Crispy's point, they've been out of multiplayer for so long. Even when they were in it, they didn't see value enough in it to invest more into it. So what makes, and that's the thing that I always bring up, what makes you think that I would have any faith in any of their service games or anything that they do on the multiplayer standpoint when they haven't done it to this point? And the one company that they bring in to help them is also struggling within Bungie. So it's just, when you line things up next to each other, it opens more doors to more dark alleys that are like, do I really want to find out what's at the end of that alley? So
no, it makes sense. It really does. And this is why Jim Ryan was fired. They can say whatever they want about him being retired because he doesn't want to fly all over the world again and try and get something else blocked, but it's fine. Right. Real quick before we move on to the next topic, Tim the Sorcerer drops a £2 super chat and says, "Living Split Screen Part 1. I like it. Hi panel and hi chat. Hello to you, Tim. Thanks so much for being here." Bold Alpha Wolfpack drops an additional $5 super chat and says, "Portal is just an influx cash Sony desperately needs, nothing more. They won't support it, and if they do, it'll be another edition you got to buy for $100+." Yeah, I mean, listen, there's going to be another edition of thing, or they're going to let this fail like they did. All right, listen, the PlayStation VR 2.0 released this year. Have you heard them talk about it? No, because they are going to let it die just like they let the first one die, which is why I didn't buy it. It was too expensive, and they just rake you over the coals as they normally do. This device is going to come out. It's going to be a hot product for Christmas. Parents and grandmas and grandpas and aunts and uncles or tios and tias are going to go out and buy this thing for their kids, not knowing that this thing is a brick without a PlayStation 5. I wouldn't be surprised if actually people went and said, "Hey, you don't have a PlayStation, but here you go. Now you do. And here's this portal." And they're going to be like, what do I do with this thing? You're going to get a lot of returns. You're going to see there are going to be a lot of returns. Whether or not the industry, meaning the gaming media, reports on that, well, you got to remember there were some that actually gave this thing an 8 out of 10, the same thing they gave a ROG.
That's crazy. That's wild.
And I have a ROG Ally, and it does a million things more than this. So I don't know how they can have an equate the scores, but that's here nor there. Grumble.
That review process, huh?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously it's not skewed. The media is on our sides, and they would never sell you a bag of poop and put a PlayStation sticker on there. Someone actually said that, as a matter of fact. But first of all, Grumble says this after dropping a very generous $5 from Jen. Says, "I just picked up a MetaQuest 3 and Game Pass is coming to the Quest. It's a second screen that will likely work better than the portal. I wouldn't doubt that.
They're going to
And here's
integrate AR into that at some point, I believe.
that would be dope. Yeah, absolutely. Here's the comment of the day, folks. Gerald Mack drops an additional $5 super chat, and he's speaking the crispy truth, if you will. You can put a PlayStation logo on a bag of poop and sell it to the PlayStation fanboys. They buy anything with PlayStation on it. Hashtag gray beards. Hashtag Xbox World Order. And James Gibson in the chat drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says Xbox making their own path is disrupting Sony. Indeed it is. So, gentlemen, and I'm going to go first to Crispy here because he's our multiplayer guy. Crispy, I want to talk these Halo Infinite numbers. It was confirmed by multiple sources that Halo Infinite has crossed 30 million players. It is currently out. Season 5 is out and available. It is breaking records for consistent player counts on a regular basis, not only on Xbox, but on Steam. It is the best Halo that has been available for multiplayer since, in my opinion, since Halo 3. And it makes the sting even worse that this game that made the turnaround that no one thought it could, out of the Game Awards, best continuous game, where it got just completely ignored. Let's get your take on the significance of 30 million players touching this game that most would tell you was dead.
I mean, let's be honest. You know, Xbox said we're gonna make the multiplayer free to play.
Yep.
You know, if you want to mess with Forge, you're gonna have to buy the game. Okay. You know what I mean? Like in some way, shape, or form. Like it's not a lot of money. It's not. They don't overcharge you for certain aspects of the game. Be like, hey, you got to pay $20 for this or something. You know what I mean? And then on top of that, like, I didn't beat the campaign, but I played enough of it because I'm just, you know, like I'm a gearhead. Like I love Gears. Like Gears story, no matter what it does, is going to envelop me. I know people hate the way they went in Gears 5 and everything, and even Gears 4. I actually loved it. I thought it was innovative in the realm of Gears. So you look at that and you say, what are they doing with Halo? You know, how many times have I seen like some crazy things with the grappling hook and all that stuff? You know what I mean? Like little elements can make a game different. The one thing I'll say is that the multiplayer, from what I played from Halo, and I play crossplay generally. I'll play with PC players. Yeah, I'm probably going to get sniped more. But I also know once I get sniped enough from one person, that person's going to go for the sniper. So the next round, I go after them. And that's my whole goal until we gain the sniper ourselves. And at least somebody has it. Like these are the way I play multiplayer games. Like you get killed enough, you're like, but is the game solid? It is super solid. And that's why you have people coming back to it. Because now they're adding this element of Forge and allowing these people that, you know, have this envision of saying, hey, like, let's go back old school. I mean, I almost feel like these Halo 3 maps might have came from people that are like, oh, you know, you did a great job with this. Like, let's hire you and we're going to bring you on a team. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? And then you have all of this stuff transpiring and there's content and content and content. And some of that content may actually be your peers. That's cool to me. That makes me realize we are getting into a different realm of gaming. As far as like people that really want to like actually develop a map and stuff, they have that option. And then they get to play it after. Mm-hmm. That's an even bigger beauty. It's something that I don't think many companies are willing to do, but we've seen it from Microsoft. Like literally now, like Grounded has become the same thing. Like people are like developing maps in Grounded.
Yeah.
They are embracing this. Okay. And this is where I say, this is why you're hearing a lot about Microsoft and AI, because those tools that AI can provide to make it even simpler somebody like me might be possibly able to do it at some point. That's pretty cool. Okay. And they've really started all of this with Minecraft. And that's where you go and say, have they really killed Halo or made it better? It's just taken way longer than they should have taken, or they didn't release it completely polished at the beginning, or they released it in segments rather than completely polished. Because I feel like that's what they did. They released it in segments.
Yeah, that's why maybe that's where the seasons came from. In order just to get something out there. And again, obviously it's free to play, so seasons is a thing, Crispy.
Yeah, and I mean, seasons is a thing for Fortnite, and Fortnite continues to roll on.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And I'll be honest with you, people. Like, you can go find a game in PUBG. I'm just telling you. You know what I mean? So you look at these things, and it's just developers being like, no, this game is not dead. I mean, you look at Bethesda with Fallout 76. That game is not dead. You know what I'm saying? Like, you look at Grounded, the small team that it came from. There's probably much more people working on it now, but have expertise in bringing the best that they can out of the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, if something's good, like, we don't see nothing about Bleeding Edge. That was a small team as well, but it was from Ninja Theory. We were all like, oh, this is going to be great. And it wasn't. Okay. But I don't know if that game's dead. I still hear that it's not dead. The servers are still alive. People can still play it. And I don't know if that small team is developing more for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, Microsoft allows these teams to be small, be big, ask for more, do all these things. But they do have to ask, because if they don't, you get a Redfall. You know what I'm saying? So you look at Halo, like, Halo's the baby. You know, it's just like Gears. When we see Gears 6, I'm telling you, bro, y'all are going to be like, what the, you know what I mean? And that's what I look at. I look at how they treat their baby. And I'm telling you right now, Halo getting to 30 million, that's huge. And that goes across multiple platforms in a way, because at the end of the day, you can play on your phone, you can play on your PC, you can play on your Xbox. And I'm sure if Sony was open to it, they would let you play on their app, the Xbox Game Pass app through Sony, but they won't allow it. And if Nintendo turns the cord and says, you know what, we'll let Game Pass on there, they're going to sell so many consoles, because that PlayStation Portal, I'll take a Switch. Switch will do better. Switch has
maybe that's something that they're working on in the background for the Switch.
You never know. Like, you look at what Microsoft's doing right now, they are still, as I've said years ago, ready to put their hands in all the cookie jars. And that is something that many companies are not willing to do. And Sony is showing that in spades. They have good tech that they are not using on PC, which is a travesty to their own company. That PSVR 2, if it could be hooked up to a PC, would be great. If that Portal had a web search and all these other things, it would be a much more logical product for somebody like me to purchase, because it doesn't look like a bad product. You know what I mean? And that's something that I wish, like, they used to do these things. They used to be willing to do this.
They were weird. Now they're no longer weird.
I used to be able to use my Walkman headphones on whatever I want, and those Walkman headphones were better than everything else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's old school. You know what I mean?
Well, listen, obviously you're a multiplayer expert. 30 million of anything is big. 30 million of Halo is even bigger. Steel Rain, you are another multiplayer gamer. This is a big deal. This is obviously Halo struggled. I politely and still I will stand on my square. I reviewed Halo Infinite. I gave single player a 10 because single player was amazing. Best since Halo 3. I stand on that square. And the multiplayer, even though it lacked content in regards to maps, it was brilliant. I gave it a 10, and I stand by that today. And here we are, all of these nearly 3 years later, because we just made the 3-year anniversary with the Xbox Series X and S at the beginning of November. And we are looking at season 5. We are looking at consistent content. In the season 5, they gave you all of the seven Halo 3 maps called Halo 3 Refueled. They created a new one for this. It is everything I could possibly want for Halo. It brings me back. I'm just about to cross 18 days in Halo Infinite, and I'm not sorry about it. I know some others have, like, for instance, Infinite Umber, I think, has like 26 days or something like that. It's like outrageous how many days. How big of a deal is this for 343? But more importantly, Xbox as a company that's trying to make games as a service relevant and profitable.
A company trying to make games as a service relevant. I think that Xbox has been the number one proponent of making sure it stays alive, and it's been working. Halo Infinite reaching the 30 million, I think, for me, at least, is extremely, for a dead game, man, the numbers continue to rise, right? People said that Halo was dead. People said that Halo, people are tired of Halo. People have been saying this for years against Halo. And again, I'm always against this. I think the whole reason why we even have battle royales is because somebody looked at Halo and said, "Man, those shields, we should really add that into like a open world mode and have people fight against each other." Oh, the one thing that everybody used to complain about, that is the worst thing that was ever introduced in the first person shooters. Oh yeah, armor. Oh, now every game has that, huh? That's interesting how that works. So one of the number one things that's really a picking point for me, as someone who's been a Halo fan since the very beginning, and it was always told that Halo was a very average game, although it's always been proven, it has proven, and continues to prove to be everything other than. It's, for me, I definitely have seen Halo have its ups and downs, and it's going to continue to happen because there's very few franchises that end up going for much longer than a decade and continue to still hold that relevancy, right? Fortnite is starting to see some of that, where you're starting to see people fall off. Matter of fact, they had to go back and bring back the original map to reintroduce the hype of Fortnite again, right? And now they're slowly rolling things back out into it. Apex is seeing the same thing. It's coming into its tenure, and people are starting to fall off because that's what happens, right? The number one thing that was a negative on Halo always was that Halo was an extremely sweaty game. And that was the thing for me, and part of the reason that I wouldn't say necessarily fell off, but because I'll blame that on Gears. A lot of the reason I missed Halo 3 was because of Gears of War, right? There was nothing in comparison, but just to stick back with Halo, a lot of the problem that Halo has still today is the perceived difficulty of playing the game, because once you step away for some time, there is a readjustment period that you have to kind of get acclimated to, right? And you could say that about many shooters, but Halo seems to be the one that's the most consistent in that, and it could be a turnoff for some people, especially with skill-based matchmaking now, and people trying to figure out how to level that out, where you feel like you got to kind of sweat every match for it to be somewhat of a good match, right? So they're continuously working on that. But I think the other thing that, to me, that has been shown too, is that throughout all the issues that Halo Infinite has, quote unquote, had, although the game released at a very high meta, at least a decently high meta for Halo, especially, there was obviously a good bone structure there for the game, right? All the questions that we have about slip space, all the questions that we have about it potentially moving to Unreal Engine 5, I do think that they have something special here with slip space as they get further into it, right?
Yeah.
And again, as we all know, as these developers get used to the hardware, to the software, as we progress into the hardware generation, we're going to see those improvements. And I think the further we progress, again, it helps that we've also had some people leave, some people were forced out. We got people at the top now who are leading and are familiar with what a successful Halo could look like. I think everything is moving in the right direction. I think 30 million is going to turn to 50 million to continue to flesh things out, especially if whether Certain Affinity brings out that battle royale mode.
Oh yeah, dude.
Otherwise known as Tatanka, as we still reference it as, even if they're still working on that. I do think, especially in today's era, if there's one game that's going to help reinvigorate maybe the battle royale genre, it could be a Halo, just because it's always fit that that kind of play style really well to me. You're always picking up new guns. You're always recharging your armor. You're always, it just makes too much
You
sense
know
for
what
it not
would
to have
be
happened yet.
epic is that they drop superhero style, like wherever you
that would
want.
be
Like
super.
it's like
Spartan
pinpoint
style.
super, just there's a
Mhm.
boom, and then you're like you're there,
Get in the
and
match.
you
Call of Duty
everything
style.
pops up.
That would be
Oh,
dope, dude. Yeah, I could
Like
see
how
it.
Call
I
of
could see
Duty,
them
when
doing it like
they
that.
bring you into the match for Call of Duty, you coming in a car and everybody's like spreading out, and it seems like epic when you're getting into the match. They can do the same kind of thing for Halo. You drop it down out of the sky. You don't have to show me the whole cutscene, but maybe just the quick boom, and you give me that impact. It may really make me feel like I am that Spartan that I'm playing as. And they've been doing better with that. Customization is better than it's ever been. More and more stuff is they're continuously also reiterating on the battle pass. They made sure to make that known. Hey, the free stuff, we want to make that better. Boom, I see your wolf armor or cat armor, whatever it is. It looks
It
really
is
dope.
my
at least in my
Wakanda
opinion.
Forever armor, brother, because that is a Panther
Perfect.
helmet along with that
Panther,
tiger
okay.
skin
Gotcha.
joint. And yeah,
It looks
you know,
perfect.
I mean,
it looks cool. It looks dope. I like
thank
it.
you.
I haven't seen
Well, it
anybody
looks
else
cool to
wearing
everyone
that,
but
so.
Gaz from Game One Daily was like, "What the f is that?"
And you have your traditionalists, right? And that's always going to happen. Again, there are a lot of people who don't like Halo 4 and 5. I felt like they were excellent games to me. And I've enjoyed Halo through its entirety. So, and I'm always going to be a proponent for Halo through its ups and downs. And again, Halo released in a very polished state. It just lacked content. And to see where it is now is going to continue just to grow. And I'm excited about that. 30 million and beyond. That's kind of my vision on it. So.
No, I mean, great points so far from Crispy and Pong, and you. Pong will get back. He had stepped away. Matt, I want to go to you first before we get to Pong and Fuzzy. But let me catch up on the super chats. Gordon Fiala drops a very generous $20 super chat and says, "Thanksgiving." Well, that is very kind of you. Thank you, Gordon, for the very generous super chat, and of course, thank you for being here. Sapo in the chat, she asks this. Sony guys aren't cheering for the CMA? What happened? Because the CMA is investigating them, and that's why they're corrupt. The cat is corrupt. I see some of the stuff out there. You should be ashamed of yourself, you frauds. Thank you for the generosity of the $5 super chat. Bowl Alpha Wolfpack drops an additional, very generous $5 super chat and says, "That's right. Games aren't eccentrical anymore." At Sony, their business outcome is now, it's wild that the portal is just a taste. I don't understand how. Again,
it's just a taste of what they used to do was the original, the PSP,
the PSP, and
PSP,
yeah. And this is. I mean, the if you watch the video that I'm going to drop in here by Wolf Den, he actually says that you can use a PlayStation, a PSP now, and it runs better than this thing. What?
Processing power. That's what I said.
There you go. And it goes a long way. We have Nino Vistic, who's become a new channel member. Thank you, Nino, for that. That's very kind of you. And Hadari Mac in the chat drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, "According to Sony, I own 5 current next-gen Xbox consoles. How many do you guys own?" And I think I have an S, 2 X's, a TV here, a TV there. I want to say it's like 6 or 7. It's pretty ridiculous according to their mathematics, the Sony mathematics. Mav, I did some digging while both Crispy and Steele were talking, and I just want to read for fun some of the gaming media, pushing the narrative of Halo Dead. Here's some of the titles. Where is everyone? Halo is dead. Halo is beyond saving, and Xbox needs to forget it exists. One says. I won't say who it is because we don't want to shout out the media, right? We don't want to go to war with the media. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. We are witnessing the death of the Halo franchise, says one media site. Another one. Once popular live service games are now almost gone. And upon release, Halo Infinite single player was pretty decent, but the multiplayer is not. Another one. Sorry to say, this game is dead. Okay, that's a good one. Let's see where Dr. Disrespect claims Halo Infinite could be dead in a week. And check this out. Another one. Oh, this one's I will have to say who this is because, well, we know that they're paid. They're paid shills by Sony. They get 46% ad read from them. PC Gamer. Wow, what a surprise. Halo Infinite's terrible, horrible, no good, very bad year. Okay. All right. Another one. Is Halo Infinite dead? What happened and why? That's some of it. Let's stop because I could go on for days and we know they're all wrong. Mav, let's talk about it. 30 million players for Halo Infinite, and you are one of those players, sir. What are your thoughts?
I mean, it to those headlines, Boom. It wasn't just media as well. I mean, people in the community, podcasting and stuff, were all asking, or not all, but a lot of people were asking for 343 and Xbox just to move on from Halo Infinite. It's just give up on it and do the next thing. You know, and it's like, you guys are giving up on this way too soon. It's like way too easy. Like this is why this game was designed as free-to-play multiplayer, right? This is why it was designed as a live service type game. And that was my argument from day one on why I felt like it was a good move for Halo Infinite multiplayer to be separated as a free-to-play experience, because you're always going to have a chance and you're always going to have that motivation to reignite the community and bring people back into the game, right? And where we have now, it's 3 years after release, right? Or 3 years, I think, at now.
3 years exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, 3 years after release, it's had a lot of downs, right? But the hardcore kept playing, but then a lot of people kept coming back with once they started hitting their stride with their updates and after season 3. And
It's
then the
2
game
years.
keeps getting, is it
You
2
know,
years?
you're right.
That's right.
It is.
game
It is
came out
2 years,
2021.
not
Okay.
3 years, because it didn't launch with the Series X because it was delayed. It launched the following year. So thank you for the correction, Steele. It is in fact only 2 years old, and it's got 30 million players, and that in itself is even more impressive.
That's right. So 2 years, man. It seems like 5 years. no, for real. Like, it's crazy, dude. So we've had them have all those lows, and then they built this community back up. But the key thing to remember about this, and what I've been trying to say from the get-go, is that the value of this game and the experience that we're going to get in this multiplayer is only going to keep growing and growing and growing. And when they announced what the Forge tools were, I could see the potential in this, that it was going to be absolutely insane, because people are going to be able to create stuff they've never been able to make in Halo before. It's going to have way more opportunity for other people to find things. You could create the next trend on Twitch or YouTube streams and all that kind of stuff for people to catch on. And we recently kind of saw that with the Battle Royale release from just a community made thing where people started watching Halo Infinite again. People started diving back just to check that out. And that was just made from the community, right? So then you think about, okay, what's next? And then what's next? Now what's next in the next season? Because they've hit their stride. Where before there's been those lows, it was mainly because they've had that stretch of content that they did not have ready yet, right? They took way too long. This is why we were critical of them for not being ready with the content pipeline and pacing for seasons 1, 2, and all that, and 3 and all that. But since then, they've hit their stride. So the next couple years, I think it's going to be insane for Halo. Not only because we're going to keep getting these regular updates more frequently and also have more good content hit in each single one of these, but you're also going to have some of the best probably planned things they've been planning on from the start for this game. Stuff from Certain Affinity and stuff from other developers that have been working on Halo Infinite behind the scenes, and different modes, different maps, all this different content that's still yet to come. We still don't even have, later this season, we still have the official firefight mode hitting.
Yes, right? It hasn't even launched yet. Yep.
That is going to be huge. And that's just a mid-season update, right? And we've already had one mid-season event. So then we have that. And then you're going to have the next season, which is we don't even know what's in that yet, 100%. And then the next season after that, it's going to keep growing. That's the beauty of a free-to-play live service experience, and why I was always down for them doing this with Halo, because you look at what it could have been the opposite, right? They launched the game, you get a couple map packs, right? Then that's just kind of it, you know? But here we have this game that's growing before our eyes and turning into this monster where there's more Halo in this multiplayer experience than we've ever had in any other Halo game, period.
Indeed.
The only thing you could point to was Master Chief Collection, which that also took them years to build up to be what it is. It launched with all those maps from all of the different Halo, all the Halo games, but that is a collection of 4 different, or was it 5 now, or 6 different Halo games? Because you got Reach, you got Reach, and you got ODST.
You got Reach, got ODST.
I only beat Reach because of Master Chief's Collection. That's the only reason why I beat Reach.
Yeah, and my argument all along was that Halo Infinite, years after launch, will have more content than we've ever seen before. And the most important thing for me was how the game felt and the multiplayer at launch, and it felt freaking amazing. You had the base, and they're building it up into this thing, and it's going to keep growing. I don't really see there being more lows. I just see this growing from here. Honestly, I think it's just going to keep adding players every month, adding more concurrent players every month. New modes are going to drop, more events are going to happen, more different things, and the community is going to make more awesome stuff. And then we'll be looking back next generation, right? Be like, man, Halo Infinite is the freaking, like, was a monster, right? As opposed to the negativity that happened for the first year.
No, I mean, it's a great point. Pong, I want to bring you in. Your middle name is Community, and nothing screams community like Halo, right? Obviously, 30 million people have played this game. Forge is a juggernaut, and it continues to deliver in content created that go across the stars. It has had levels from Dune. It has had levels from Aliens. It has had levels from Star Wars. It has had levels that are so well done, like this Shogun Palace, that they have added it to the rotation of the actual multiplayer. 30 million players in 2 years, considering that I just read all of those headlines from major publications that said that this game was dead, is proven that it is not. And when you look at the numbers on Steam, they're consistently going up. You look at the numbers on Xbox, more people are still playing it. I happen to be one of them. When you consider certain affinities, Battle Royale is not out. We know that the next Halo Infinite, or whatever it's going to be called, for single player is going to have the Unreal Engine 5 tagging along. It looks like all is up for Halo. What are your thoughts on 30 million confirmed players?
Well, Boom, since your chat hasn't had a disclaimer in a long time, my middle name is also Casual Halo Guy, right? I have no connection, a strong connection with Halo at all, as people who remember me being on here all the time used to say, and I say on all the other shows. So I come from a different perspective when I think about this. But it's funny, Boom, that even with that different perspective, even as somebody who doesn't necessarily have a strong feelings one way or the other for Halo, when we started talking about this 2 years ago plus, when I was on your show on a regular basis, and we had criticism for what was going on with Halo and all that kind of stuff, never once did I even say that this game was going to be dead. What we always talked about, Boom, and what I specifically talked about was that with a franchise like Halo being on the Mount Rushmore of gaming, Master Chief always has a chance, and Halo always will have potential no matter what at the end of the day. And we specifically talked about that Forge mode, as being a potential catalyst for Halo no matter where it wound up being, right? When the roadmap didn't hit, when people first started raising the red flags and saying what's going on over at 343, we still had that conversation that, look, a couple good seasons, a Forge mode in there, potentially the certain affinity mode, whatever that winds up being, will always have the power to bring back the Halo community, because that's never going to die. Halo is too big to too many people. And that's what we're seeing right now. The resurgence is nothing that is surprising to anybody who has an ounce of knowledge about what this franchise is. You don't have to be the biggest fan in the world, right? You don't have to be. If you look at it from that RTS view, as Steele likes to say, that satellite view, you can understand why this is happening right now. This is why when they decided to do what they did with 343, when they, got rid of the entire single player team, when they moved people out, moved new people in, but kept that multiplayer group together to continue to work on this free-to-play mode, there was always going to be a time and point where they got things right. And with the Halo fans being as strong as they are, even if they haven't always been happy with every experience, even if they've gone through the ups and downs over the years, with Halo 4, Halo 5, etc., and now Halo Infinite, they're going to come back. You guys love this. Mav, Steel, Boom, Crispy, all you guys who play Halo on a regular, or who did play Halo on a regular basis, you guys love this stuff, right? There is something there. Again, when I've played with you guys, I never played as much Halo as I did when I jumped in this community, because again, that passion runs over everywhere. So Halo coming back to 30 million is just, to me, kind of expected. If they got their stuff together, which I thought they could, I knew that this was going to be, something that could happen, and it's great to see, Boom. But this continues a long line of successful games as a service, multiplayer games for Xbox. This is what Xbox does. We've got a company, and I'm not bringing them up for any other reason, to point out that a lot of people want to get to this point, but PlayStation is searching for these types of games. They desperately need these types of games, to the point where you got Jim Ryan putting his job on the line for 12 games as a service in the next 5 years. Now they've canceled multiple games already, 4 or 5 of them at least. They've canceled already. This is not an easy space to be in, but Xbox has been doing this for years. Xbox has been doing this for decades already. They've had those successful franchises that prove that they know what they're doing. Halo is just one of those, right? So this is a big, big spot for them. This opens up and allows them, which they never want. I never thought for sure that they would put Halo ever in the closet and mothball it. You really can't with a franchise like this. Now, they took a step back. They obviously have to decide where the future of Halo lies. But when it comes to Halo Infinite, when it comes to the multiplayer mode right now, they're doing everything that they possibly can to make it right. And the fans are saying, thank you. We're back.
Yes.
Come on, let's go. And the Forge mode allows, that's why, even though I don't play Grounded, when they just announced that Grounded is getting its own Forge mode where you can create games, we've seen this with Bethesda titles for decades now. When you get the community involved and you give them the tools to do what the developers do, really, at a base level, you give them the same tools that developers have and say, go hog wild, go have fun. We know you love this game. Go make something you love. Guess what happens? You get beautiful creations out of it. You get amazing design out of it, because those people that are passionate about that might not just be a part of the dev community. That doesn't mean as gamers, they still can't come up with something if you give them the right tools to make it. And so they do that, and it's free added bonus content, and it comes from the heart. It comes from just purely loving the game, and some of those things will take off just as big as your own dev creations will.
Dude, I've seen a
it's
Super
massive.
Smash Bros mode
Yes.
from Halo.
Yes.
I haven't played it, but I'm just saying, I mean, come on, dude.
Somebody's making a Halo RPG right now, Crispy. They're making a turn-based Halo RPG right now.
I love the innovation. That's like my whole point. there's something that, like, dude, if people could start to be able to do this with Gears, the same damn thing, like build maps and stuff like that, I
Maybe
think
they
they would
will.
be absolutely incredible. Well, they were close. They were close with the, you know, the hive busters and, you know, the hives and all that stuff. You know, they had like this formula, but it was too like less complex than what actually people that love a game can
Well,
do.
maybe
And I think
seeing how
Forge
has
is a
been
perfect example.
No, I mean, it makes sense. But seeing how Forge is being received, seeing how Grounded is getting its own mode, it only makes sense to evolve the next Gears with potentially a Forge mode of its own, and that would be pretty freaking dope because that's gonna
And UE5, because that would actually help developers. Because guess
1,000%.
what?
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They are the kings of UE5. I don't care what anybody says.
No, the people go to them to learn it. But real quick, Fuzzy, I want to bring you in, but before I do, I want to shout out Tavish Hill because this is the power of information. So he says this, folks. Correction for Boom. It was 13 months to get to 30 million. He breaks down the numbers, folks, and this is why it's even more impressive. He said it was 10 plus million in 2022 relative to where it was January 1st of 2022. It has since had another 11 months of players, and from there, it has now hit a 30 million of them. That's even more impressive. It just continues to grow on why this franchise isn't dead. Let's get your take on this number.
Well, it's almost becoming a common thread with Xbox games. Like there's so many games that are 10 million plus and 20 million plus within their lineup. This is just another one to add to it. Like we all saw how Forza Horizon 5 hit 30 million, Sea of Thieves hit 30 million, and now Halo Infinite. Both the multiplayer and the single player have hit 30 million. So it goes to show when Xbox sticks with a game and continues to do updates, continues to listen to the community, dropping content, making changes, adding new modes, additional DLC and things along those lines, it pays off. The players will stay and continue to play those games as long as the company continues to support it. And it's a perfect example. Like we always used to look at like Ubisoft as being that company that can kind of bring a game back from the dead. Like look at Rainbow Six Siege and I think their X game thing that they had, and even the Crew and stuff like that. Although I don't think any of those have quite hit like the 30 million player base. Well, maybe Rainbow has, but just the fact
They've done it with the Division as well. I'm just saying
Yeah.
with the Gangs in New York DLC, that brought it back.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like there are so many great examples, but like right now, looking at Xbox, first party studios, I think they're basically the kings of how you nurture a community and your fan base with continuing to support these games. Like I know everybody wants to claim foul with Redfall and stuff like that. They're continuing to do updates, and it's working. Now we'll see where it lands in like a year or so, what the player base looks like, but. Remember how people, badmouth Fallout 76, and that one is 15 million plus, and it's actually still growing, and they're continuing to do updates and expansion. So there's so many things within the Xbox first party studios as far as doing great things, and like having a Forge mode like in Grounded, and they kind of have a Forge mode even in Forza Horizon with their I forget what it's called right now, but it's basically you can create your own races. Change the scenery. There's like 2 landscapes where you can do this at, and it definitely helped bring a lot of people back or keep people pretty much playing that daily, like pretty much like you're an MMO to some extent. But seeing how everybody claimed that Halo is dead, but yet most of the games out there that people were saying, oh well, Halo should be more like Destiny or Halo should be more like this other game. See how much trouble they're having with their communities right now, but nobody seems to want to talk about that right now. But it's great to see 343 stuck with it. Yeah, they had to do some shaking up as far as restructuring and stuff along those lines, but it looks like it's paying off in the long run, and we'll continue to see support as far as with Halo. looking forward to see what certain Affinity brings to the table. If that Battle Royale even sparks even more players to join the fold. But that's no small feat to get 30 million players invested in a game. This is the things that with those games as a service that Sony is desperately trying to pursue. So
Yep.
it just goes to show this is where Xbox has its niche that it focuses on the multiplayer aspect of things, and a lot of those games still have a single player component. Like they're even talking about doing a PvE single player type component, which you can kind of play Sea of Thieves single player as well, but a more PvE.
No, the PvE
version
is coming out in December, dude. It's going to be dope. That's when I'm going to start playing.
Yeah, so they know how to cater to the fans and bring more people into the game. And I'm looking forward to see what Motorsport does like a year from now, if they're going to be in the 10 to 20 million range, because it's more niche than a Forza Horizon. But this is just great on Xbox, showing that they know how to support their games after they release them and continue to keep the fans enthused with content. So it's just great to see.
It is great to see. You know what's also perplexing? Numbers, right? Numbers don't lie. 30 million of whatever is a big deal, right? And we know that Sony players love telling you numbers, right? They love to tell you that Spider-Man 2018 has over 30 million, and that's why it's a success. And of course it is. Well, a lost cause in the chat says this. Halo Infinite averages less than 6,000 players on Steam, and it's only the 16th most played game on Xbox. It's free to play. That's horrid. Stop the cap. So I say to you, the name kind of says it all, and I will not repeat that. And secondly, numbers, dude. Listen, if you are a Sony player, and you might be, could you please explain to me, and I'll pause the whole show just for you, a lost cause. When was the last time Sony had a multiplayer game that was over 30 million players that they own? I'm not talking about Fortnite. I'm talking about PUBG. I'm not talking about Apex. I'm talking about an IP for multiplayer that PlayStation has nurtured and has people playing. Let me see.
SOCOM.
SOCOM in the PlayStation 2 days, there was potentially
no, they did in the beginning. Killzone as well.
They gave you ways to play it.
Yeah.
No.
They
gave you. They gave you, sir. They gave you multiplayer. See, here's the difference. Those are 10 years ago. We're talking now, my friend.
Longer than that.
Oh, it's longer than that, brother. It might be 20 years ago.
No. Well, SOCOM 4 was what, 20, I don't know, 12, 2014, somewhere around there.
That wasn't well received, though. That was.
But that's because their entire server system went down because they had to shut it down. They killed that game themselves, and that's where
2011, by the way.
Okay, perfect. They killed it even worse because that's when they were the console leader, right? There you go.
Listen, at the end of the day, you can say what you want about the numbers per day. When new seasons are out, like it is now, people are playing, people are creating. This Forge creation ideology obviously came first to Halo. It is now going to make its way over to Grounded. I would not be surprised in the least if this eventually moves on to something like Sea of Thieves, potentially Gears. It's going to be engagement.
Can I just, before people start saying it came from Minecraft? It came from Minecraft.
Yeah, it did, but from I don't know,
man. It came from Minecraft. I've watched people build entire worlds in Minecraft. It came from Minecraft. It came from Mojang, and they have continued to support it because we've all called it out. Like, if you had Mixer right now, I think it would be a different scenario. And I believe Satya did say that I wish we continued Mixer. I do believe
he did say it was a bit of a mistake. Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. You're somewhat right about that, but we also got to take into account that yes, and I keep forgetting this, they own Call of Duty. And don't be surprised if Forge, that has been perfected through Halo, doesn't make its way to Call of Duty. Now, real quick, there is a Call of Duty topic because Jez Corden has confirmed that the next Call of Duty will in fact be releasing next year. That's a big deal because that's the first time Xbox will own the marketing rights for this game. It is the first time that the game will be dropping into Xbox Game Pass day and date. It is Treyarch is taking the lead on this. They will be releasing we're going back to the 90s during the Gulf War. It's a sequel. It's Black Ops Gulf War is the working title for right now. But I'm going to hold off on that because, like I said, it's usually a 2-hour show. Now, I know Steel and Pong are known, and even Mav, you guys are known for your 3, 4, 5-hour shows. I don't mind going a little bit more. I just don't want to I don't want to make anyone stay if they got to go. But I do, well, we'll come back to it, folks, because even if I'm by myself, I'll give you my spiel. I'll kind of hang back afterwards. But I want to start first. Thanksgiving was yesterday. Now, of course, being a human being, I'm blessed and I'm thankful for many, many things. But I want to make this fun. I want to make it about gaming. And I'm going to go first to Steel Rain on this. Steel, 2023 has been bombastic for games on every platform, regardless of what you play. Third party is ruling the day because there's been some of the biggest games that we've ever seen. I would even dare challenge Steel Rain 2007. This year, in my opinion, trumps it. And I know that we're going up against the big boys like BioShock and Mass Effect. And, there's so many in that 2007 range that is just legendary. This year, I think trumps it for you as a gamer. What are you thankful for in 2023 for gaming?
I'll be very blunt and frank. I'm grateful for Game Pass. To be honest, Game Pass has allowed me to invest in the games that I probably wouldn't invest into earlier. For an example, game Fate Samurai Remnant. It's an anime style game. It's an action based RPG. More so in that Japanese vein, but not technically a JRPG because they don't label it that. But it's one of those games that I probably would have looked over because it is a single player game, and I probably would have been like, maybe I'll jump into it. Although some of my taste has changed, and I've opened my book up quite a bit. I just look at gaming very differently now, right? I've been provided so much value, and I'm looking at my game of the year list, right? And I'm looking at 9 games that specifically just stand out to me this year, which even if Xbox ever comes to fruition with their a AAA game every quarter or first party game every quarter, if it falls in line with this 9, right? So I'll just go down the list real quick. So what I'm thankful for is games like Hogwarts Legacy, Wild Hearts, Wolong. I thought that game was really good this year. Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I know Fuzzy is down on it, but it was one of my main proponents for Game of the Year because of not only of the gameplay aspects, but they also leveled up in every way. As far as going from your first game to the second game, going from Fallen Order to Survivor, especially on the story standpoint. I know some people feel like it was kind of predictable, but I enjoyed it for what it was. It was excellent Star Wars content. Diablo 4, although I have my personal gripes about that too, it still was a very strong game. I put hundreds of hours into it in a party with the bros, and it's been nothing but a good time that every time that we play. Matter of fact, it's one of those things where it's just like, anytime that we're all on, it's like, man, maybe we should just play some Diablo because of those fun times, right? You got something like Exo Prime with a game in the Game Pass this year. We got Remnant 2, Armored Core 6, Starfield, Liza P, Forza Motorsport came out this year. It's like, and the reason I want to go down like this a little bit of some of this list is really just to give people perspective on the quality of games that we've kind of gotten this year. And the time sinks that these games can be also, right? I'm someone who is known to biggest reasons I don't like to play certain types of games is because of that time sink factor. I still got to work. I'm doing schooling behind the scenes. I got kids. I got a wife. I got a house to maintain. Like there's all these other things that are fighting for my time. When I finally sit down, I'm already fighting that because I do make content. Shout out to Live a Split Screen every Saturday. But because of that, I do find myself, hey, if I'm trying to intake content, maybe I need to play a Halo. I need to play something where I don't necessarily need to listen to everything. I can just play, right? And then those moments where I want to buckle down and I have some time to, I'll play some of those other games like the Fate that I was mentioning earlier. And since if I'm already doing that, just knowing that the flood and variety of games that are around my sphere also, it just continues to get me excited. And while I always double down on Pong's saying this is the golden era of gaming, I know people go back and say, oh, well, no, this was the gold. I mean, I get what you're saying, but let's put things in perspective. You're getting more value, more benefits, more games, better games, bigger games than we have ever gotten before, almost to a point where people aren't complaining about the graphics anymore. They're really complaining about the detail in their games. And if we start focusing in on that, we're going to again see another boom, I think, at least, no pun intended, in the gaming sphere, because that attention to detail is something that's extremely important to me. And I think a lot of the games, again, Hogwarts Legacy, I think is the main proponent. Shout out to it being snubbed this year, but I think it's one of the main proponents and examples to show you what is possible in today's era of modern gaming, even with a studio that does not traditionally make those style of games. If that doesn't get you excited, I don't know what else will. When you have games like Vampire Survivors, games like that people literally thought that they shouldn't exist. Why would you play that? We literally were in a frenzy for weeks discussing how addicting the game was, how fun it was. And if little games like that are making it in today's era, if we're getting all these other different games, especially in the Game Pass and other services, and just allowing us to kind of open up our perspective on value, maybe open up our wallets a little bit more, depending, and save money at the same time. It's just I'm thankful that gaming has progressed in such a way that I can seek out what benefits me and literally kind of cater that to what I'm looking for.
Dude, you're not wrong. That's a phenomenal pick. And I think that value proposition in 2023 is a conversation that we all need to have. You said it. You're a dad, you're a husband, you have a job, you have a mortgage, you have bills, you have the kids. They got to go to school. The kids need clothes for school. They need their supplies for school. These real life things. People that break my balls all the time about, about cream teas being $6. Now it's not anymore, thankfully, because things kind of lowered a little bit. But the truth of the matter is that look at the videos. If you guys want to see, like 2020, what $100 in groceries, someone puts it out on the counter on YouTube, and then you go to 2023, that same $100, and you see that there's like 3 less bags, right? Well, half, sometimes more than half what's available. Something like Game Pass is something to be thankful for, because what it does for most gamers who are subscribed still is it allows you to do all the man things that you have to do, the adult things that you have to do, and still be a part of the conversation when it comes to new games for your shows. Maybe not every game is for every gamer. Maybe there's going to be something there that you would never play, but something like Jasont is a prime example of living artwork that should not be a game, but somehow climbing a mountain and trying to figure out how to get up to certain places becomes like a Tetris kind of a thing. And I'm loving it. And I wouldn't have bought that game because it's not really in my wheelhouse. Apparently it is, because I have many hours into it and I haven't beaten it yet. I got up to the 3rd act and I think it has 4 acts. I'm going to run through that game. I'm quite enjoying it. Same thing, a perfect example, you made mention of it. Vampire Survivors was up. It should have been up for Game of the Year. it should have outpaced Stray last year when it was this game came out of
Technically,
nowhere,
yeah.
was made by one person. And how many people, raise your hand, folks, have 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 hours in that game? We know Phil Spencer does, because that's all he was playing. Because it's a phenomenal game. It has an incredible loop. So that's a strong answer.
I want to make one more point, Boom. Just
Please,
real
by all
quick, just because of the
means.
whole Game Pass thing. I don't want to take anybody's time. Anybody in the chat, and anybody that listens to this afterwards, anybody that sits there and tells you that Game Pass is welfare pass, that you're not supporting developers, that you're trying to invoke the end of gaming because you are supporting services that aren't directly feeding into the developer's hands for whatever reason, ask those same people, where do they seek that all that information and anything else that they do in their life? And with that, just find what is value to you, understand who you are, not only as a gamer, but as a person, and double down on that and find people who kind of support that and will and open their mind, can maybe open your mind up a little bit to some other things that could be in your wheelhouse. So
Not strong point. Pong, let's bring you in on the conversation, because I think the short answer is, well, you have over 300 hours in Starfield, a game that was included in here, and you are the pirate bad guy of the century, and you are not even close to beating it, which I rolled credits today, and I'm just itching to jump back in and play a New Game Plus. There's too many games, not enough time. What for you signifies what you're thankful for for gaming for 2023?
Well, number one, let me start here. And I'll get a little sappy to begin with, is this community. Not only my brothers here that I get the podcast with on a weekly basis, but the community on X, formerly known as Twitter, the community that jumps into our chats show after show. This means a lot to me, because having a year like this, Boom, would have been great the way that I used to experience gaming, which was a lot of personal, right? Just by myself, right? Again, I didn't have a huge group of friends who were gamers like me. I didn't even know this community existed up until 3-4 years ago, right? When I jumped in. To find people like you all here in the chat, on the panel, some people who have become some of my best friends in real life, even though I've never met them, face to face yet. That makes this year that much better. That makes this point that I call the golden age of gaming that much more golden at the end of the day, because now I get to share my experiences. I get to come here and talk about the games. I get to come here and deep dive and have discussions and play armchair CEO and all that kind of stuff on a weekly basis with people who know that this year in gaming is one of the greatest of all time. Along with me. And I think that is super special. And I talk about it on every show that I go on. It's how I end the show, but nothing but love and respect to everybody who shares their time with us, whether on panel, in the chat, whether it's posting on X, formerly known as Twitter, however you celebrate this and are a part of this community, nothing but love and respect for all of you. So I am extremely thankful to be here at this point in my life, this point in gaming, my gaming life with you all. And so first of all, I got to start there. And then as far as gaming itself goes, Steele made a great one with Game Pass and his thoughts there, because obviously that's huge to me as a budget gamer, as somebody who can't just spend willy-nilly on whatever he wants and buy every game. Game Pass allows me to buy more games, diversify my lineup as well. But I got to say this for this year, Boom, and you just brought it up. Right, there's some specific things here, and then there's a wider thankful for as well. But specifically in gaming this year, obviously Starfield. And excuse my French, but I'm thankful that Bethesda came through with a Bethesda game. I know a lot of people wanted them to go do something different, call their style now in 2023 archaic, even though Super Mario Brothers Wonder is not archaic. Okay. Anyways, I am glad that Bethesda stuck to their guns. Okay. I'm glad that Bethesda stuck to their guns, because at the end of the day, for me, as somebody who already had extreme hype for Starfield, and his favorite franchise of all time is the Elder Scrolls, right? I like high fantasy a little bit more than I like sci-fi. I still had high hype for Starfield, and it surpassed that for me. And for me, that is absolutely incredible. I didn't know if it was going to do that. It actually has become my favorite Bethesda game. And so in turn is my favorite game of all time. This is my game of the year. This is my game of the generation. And I'm so appreciative that Todd and his team still makes games like this. Even if other people want them to make other games, that's fine. Or change their style, that's fine. You don't have to think the same way about Starfield I do, but for me personally, I'm thankful because I got my favorite game of all time in 2023. And I'm still playing it, like Boom said, around 300 plus hours, haven't touched the main storyline, haven't even touched a faction outside of the
I heard you
got to
be lying, Pong.
First two. I know people like to claim that, but again,
Well,
that's why
something
games
real
personal.
quick, Kwang.
Yeah.
Roshung Impenger says he has 298 hours in Starfield, and I have only done the first story quest to get Sarah.
There you go. Sarah's still waiting for me back at the lodge. Okay, she's still waiting for me to pick her up. So, I'm thankful for Starfield, right? I'm thankful that Bethesda came through, but I'm also thankful for a studio, and this will get to my wider thank you too this year. I'm also thankful for a studio like Larian not bending the knee to the narrative that you have to create your game for a wider audience, that you don't have to listen to the masses say turn-based gaming is done. CRPGs are old and nobody plays them anymore. It's a niche genre. Nobody's going to play it unless you make it an action RPG. That's correct. That is correct, because Larian stuck to their guns and they said, no, we love CRPGs. We love the old school turn-based tactical style. You know what we're going to do? We're not just going to make one of those games. We're going to go ahead and get the community that does love these games involved. And we're going to go out and we're going to crowdfund the hell out of this game so that we can make this the biggest budgeted CRPG of all time. I don't, Crispy. Now that Starfield's not in here, I want Baldur's Gate 3 to win Game of the Year because I
want Spider-Man 2 to win it.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I think he's being facetious.
He is being facetious, but that's fine. I'm thankful that Larian stuck to their guns, right? And this goes to my wider thankful for this year in gaming is the diversity, which Steele touched on, of games coming, the resurgence of genres like tactical turn-based strategy games, Age of Wonders 4 this year, the return of big giant franchises like Diablo this year coming back again. The diversity of gaming right now is second to none. You can take any year that you want to and call it the GOAT. That's fine. I'm not here to argue with you at all. This year to me is the greatest overall gaming year of all time. But again, if you want to argue about 2007, all those, I understand exactly why. I lived through those times. I know exactly why you feel that way. But the diversity of this year's games is second to none. It is absolutely phenomenal. The different type of content you guys brought up, like Vampire Survivors. I know that was last year, whatever the case, but we've got little games coming out. We've got AA games coming out. We've got AAA games coming out, and we've got every genre represented at some of the highest levels as well. You see a game like Hi-Fi Rush. I'm not into rhythm-based games. Okay, I played through the first level, said it's not for me, but that doesn't mean I can't look at that game and go, holy, wow, they set that bar high. That is a phenomenal experience. This is the type of year that we are having. So I'm thankful that I'm right here, right now, gaming with all of you and having the choice to go find whatever is catching my interest at that moment. And this year it's been big games. I'm not going to lie. Most years I'm grazing. If you guys listen to me on Boom's show, when I was on here on a regular 2 years, a year ago, 2 years ago, I used to come with like 8, 10, 12 different games I was playing at the time. I was grazing.
Yeah,
this year hasn't been as grazing as much because big games like Starfield, Diablo, hundreds of hours into Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 3 just dropped. My God, I'm playing that too now. Like big games have hit this year, but there's a
Wait a second. Why are you playing that? They gave it a 47 or 43. How dare you play that game? You fraud.
I know, right? I've already said I like games that are 5s and 6s. I got
Me
plenty of
too.
them. Plenty that I've played through the decades. But I'm just thankful overall for the year
You like
itself,
what
the
you like,
quality.
bro.
Exactly, man. Nobody can tell me anything different. I don't play games based upon reviews.
It's your truth, my
That's
friend.
right. That's right. So games like that, Baldur's Gate 3 too. I put a ton of hours back. I gotta get back to that on the PC. It's just been such a stellar year overall. And again, it doesn't matter where you play. It doesn't matter what types of games you like to play. You're getting content this year. You're getting top tier content this year. And there's more than probably one title that you can go play right now in that genre. So I'm thankful for the diversity. I'm thankful for these studios sticking it out, not bending the knee all the time to say, oh, we got to make our game more accessible to more people so that we get more players. I love that. And I love the resurgence of games from a genre like RTSs, like strategy, tactical games, which I love, coming back not only to PC, which they've always been there, but coming to console again. And Mav knows what I'm talking about because Mav and I are both fans of this genre, and we've been playing a lot. We just played Company Heroes 3 the other night on Xbox. That is why I consider this the golden age of gaming. And I am so thankful to be here with all of you for it.
Well, we're thankful to have you here. We certainly are, and we definitely appreciate that. Mav, let's bring you in on the conversation. What are you thankful for gaming in 2023?
Right now, I'm thankful for Pong Stoll stealing all of my answers.
That's the problem when we're on a show together.
I know, man. I literally was like, do I talk about community? Do I? And then I was like, I was going to talk about variety, like the variety of games this year has been insane. Then I was like, maybe I'm just going to talk about Starfield, but then you just went and talked about all three. So
sorry, bro.
It's okay. It's all right. Pick one next time. Okay, bro.
Okay,
do me a favor. No, I'm just kidding. No, but what my initial instinct was when I was thinking about this boom was it was the variety, because that's something that I feel like is really important, and I feel like certain genres have in the past generation kind of been relegated to like lower budget niche type thought process from these publishers, right? And it's done a disservice to them. It's done a disservice to the communities, and kind of made some of those communities smaller than they ever were. And it's not necessarily because the passion wasn't there; it's because the games weren't there, right? Like you can look at fighting games. Last generation, pretty much Mortal Kombat just carried it. Now we see the resurgence of that. Street Fighter came back strong this year. Mortal Kombat 1 was amazing again. But then we also have Tekken 8 to look forward to for next year. And even taking it back to last year, King of Fighters 15 is actually really excellent as well. So this generation has just really brought that back. Now we got Killer Instinct with a brand new update showing new life with that franchise again for the first time in 5 years. So I'm really thankful for all of these kind of things. Now we look at racing games, and we had last year GT7 dropped, and they've been doing some good updates this year as well, but also Forza Motorsport, which really proved to me what they needed with all that time to really reinvent the hardcore racing feel and aspect, because it feels revolutionary when you're on that track, right? There's never felt anything like that before from one of these kind of games. And bringing racing genre up, right? Then you even have other games come out, speaking of racing, like stuff like Crew Motorfest taking a leap, right? Then you have what Need for Speed Unbound hit last year. I know we're talking about this year, but it's just overall I'm thinking about this generation so far, and it's just so much resurgence, like Pong said, of genres, and putting that stuff back in there. A Ballantone talks in the chat, Persona Tactica.
Just dropped in there.
I did try it, and I'm actually loving it. I just haven't dove in enough because there's so many games to play. Pong and I did play Company Heroes 3 the other day, and man, it's so freaking good, dude. It's lacking a little bit of content there with some of the stuff, but like as a core RTS, like it is so deep has everything you could want, and
Is that Game Pass also?
it's
No.
not in Game Pass. It's
Oh, it's
on
not,
Black
okay.
Friday sale right now,
Oh,
right?
okay, nice.
Yeah. So there's so much and all these different genres. To think that we got this AAA CRPG in Baldur's Gate 3 drop on PC. It hit PlayStation. Is coming out to Xbox soon.
It might even be dropping at the Game Pass, dude. Like I still
At the
think
Game
that's
Awards?
a possibility. Yeah, dude, I
Yeah.
really do.
I think we're gonna get a date on that at the Game Awards, and then maybe we'll get a Game Pass announcement. I don't know, but that would be crazy. I'm not holding my breath for that, just because the game is done so well and been so huge on PC and stuff. They don't really
Unless they take that
need
bag
it.
from Microsoft,
But-
man.
They might it'll cost Xbox a pretty price, but I think it would be a bold move, right? For Phil Spencer and all those guys would be like, okay, we're gonna take this Game of the Year winner, and right before it's announced as Game of the Year, because we all think it's going to be probably right.
Mhm.
Right before it's announced as Game of the Year, have an announcement that is coming to Game Pass. That would be bold. Right, that would be
It's a
insane.
bold move,
Um,
Cotton.
But I mean, the RTSs are coming back. You have CRPGs. We got the most Bethesda game I've ever played in Starfield dropped
Yeah.
this year. Diablo 4, just endless amounts of fun
Old
with
school
my
to new,
friends playing
brother.
that, dude. Fighting games, racing games. I mean, everything has been kicked up a notch, dude. And it's no more just like, oh, these are the only kind of games that are popular, right? And these are what we need to sell. Like, these publishers are going hard on these other genres now, and I love that, right? I personally am somebody that's always liked lots of different genres in games. And I felt like last generation things just got kind of too one note. But then in 2023, this has been this revelation that, wow, all of these genres can be popular. All of these genres have huge communities. If you put your money where your mouth is and you actually put the quality there behind these games, you put the content there, people will show up and play these games. And then with a service like Game Pass, like Steele was talking about, the accessibility into a lot of these genres is absolutely insane. And like he said too, don't let anybody crap on your parade for subscribing to Game Pass. Like, oh, you're poor because you have Game Pass. That stuff is ridiculous. Do you ever hear anybody with like Disney Plus or Netflix? You didn't buy your movie? Oh, you don't want to support the film crew? What's wrong with you? Like, come on. Like, who thinks like that?
No, I tell you, Netflix has been on another level. They're bringing out their own content.
Correct.
Oh, but you don't support. You gotta buy the box edition, Crispy, or else you're not supporting the writers, and the actors of those,
F around and find
right?
out. Netflix only done this. They only killed Blockbuster, which I love Blockbuster. I'm just saying.
It's just a lot of that talk is just insane. But for real though, Game Pass brings accessibility to play a lot of games for people that maybe not have been. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know how much money you would have taken to buy all the games I wanted to
deserved
play
to
in
be
Game
killed,
Pass,
dude. It did.
We can, like, even the really well off people cannot really justify spending the amount of money on the amount of games I played in Game Pass this year.
No.
You know what I mean? It's like you're talking about thousands of dollars. It's like, hey, what's your gaming budget this year? Oh, I think I'm going to spend $1,500 on games, or you know what? I could spend $14.99 a month and just get those same things. Oh, well, I'm going to be the genius that actually cares about my wallet a little bit more and save some money. Like, at the end of the day, there's so much stuff to be thankful for in gaming, and the games are just so good, bro. It's so good. We nitpick, we criticize, and all these kind of things,
Heck yeah,
dude. But they are so freaking good. And now, man, I as a kid, you were to tell me if you go back in time to like the 90s.
Yeah, no way. No way.
And tell
Mhm.
like 10-year-old me that, hey, Mav, one day you're going to grow up and you're going to be playing games that look like that
No.
and feel like that. And you're going to be able to get them in a service where you get to pay $15 a month or whatever it
Yep.
is. And you're going to get all of that. And oh, by the way, hey, you can play it on all these different devices. Oh, also, you know what? Your progress will carry over between all of them. Also, if you do decide to buy it, you only have to buy it once because it'll also be accessible and all those different things. Hey, you know, that's the world you're going to live in one day. And I would have absolutely wanted to fall asleep until I was 40.
Yep.
Right. And that is what we're living in now.
I want to take
bro.
it to the crazy house.
I mean, it's insane. I mean, my
Indeed.
10-year-old ass was staring up at the Toys R Us card on the wall, being like,
Yep.
Which
Man.
wait,
One.
which one can I
Exactly.
get?
I gotta pick one.
This, like this.
I
this
went to
quarter,
KB.
you
I
know?
didn't go to
Yeah.
Toys R Us. I went to KB.
Yeah,
KB was
KB,
more
same
about
thing.
gaming.
KB,
It
same
basically like GameStop is KB.
You
at this point.
youngins, I went to Play World, and none of you even know what the hell I'm talking about. So there's
Funko
that.
Land, bro.
Boom,
I
Boom
worked in
sold. He
Funkoland,
went to
actually.
FAO Schwartz.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Think about too.
Bought
Matt,
the Pokemon cards, bro.
think about the genres that have benefited too that aren't necessarily our favorite genres, but horror and Souls games came out of nowhere.
Oh,
And
yeah.
part of
Yeah.
that is because of the accessibility, right? Part of that is
Liza
because
P,
people
good
have
at
the ability. Yeah, Liza P might not have ever happened without something like Game Pass because again, it's allowed people to expand what they play, where they play, and given them a budget that they can go ahead and say, I'm going to take a chance on this game, even if it's not in Game Pass. It just really looks cool, and I'm going to take
That's
a
what we
chance
used
on it.
to
And
do with
that's
Blockbuster,
right,
bro.
exactly. That was the rental process, right? But it's given so much more accessibility to people. You know, genres like horror and Souls games have really grown, and now we see, as Mav and I both pointed out, the resurgence of other genres that people said was niche or dead and wasn't going to be played on console ever. And here we are in 2023 going into 2024 with all of these genres represented no matter where you're playing, not just one specific spot. It's freaking amazing. Love
No, it is. I will say this though: nothing sparks the morons in the community to come out in full force when you talk about Starfield in a positive manner. So
Of
I
course.
put out a tweet that I rolled
Absolutely.
credits.
Yep.
And I actually, again, shame on me for not being more specific. I said two of my favorite Bethesda, I should have said IPs, not games.
Mm-hmm.
I said, for me, it's Oblivion, right?
Mhm.
And right behind that was Fallout New Vegas. Don't
Sure.
you know that there is
Mhm.
half a dozen
course.
morons
They
that
didn't
are
make
out there? Hey, guy, I guess you don't know about your games. That was Obsidian. I know Obsidian made the game. But it's a shame on me for not clarifying it. But thank you to
They're
everyone.
under all the same umbrella.
And they
That's
act like
rough.
Bethesda didn't have anything to say about New Vegas.
No,
right? Come
and
on,
again,
man.
it's a shame on me for not saying
I
Bethesda
think,
owns
I
IPs.
think in
I
New
should have been
Vegas
more
too might
specific,
happen.
but
Yes.
it's gross. People are gross, and if you are one of these people yelling from the rafters, "Hey, this guy's got it wrong," man, you really need to grow up. Honestly, it's just, I think you kind of understand the context, but that's the hate that comes with this. But again, that was a bit of a sidebar. I do want to go to Crispy Bomb, and I want to continue this conversation. Now, folks, check this out. After we're done with this, I don't know how many people on the panel are going to have to go, because obviously we're already 2 hours in. We're already long in the tooth. I'm going to kind of hang back. I'm going to give you an extended version of Breakfast with Boom to kind of give you that fourth topic, talking about what Jez Corden had to say about Call of Duty, the importance of that next year, and if we can get your hot take real quick before you get out of here, why you're kind of disappointed about it, because you actually had something to say in the green room I thought was brilliant. But let's get to Crispy. What for you, Crispy? What are you thankful for in gaming in 2023?
I'm thankful for a community to continue to support themselves. And I want to challenge you all real quick, because I've had more on another one of my beloveds, Gears 4. How long have I been playing Gears 5? Because I just looked it up. And I'm actually super surprised of myself. So, how long, how many, we're not going to say hours, we're going to say days, have I played Gears 5? And there's still hours and minutes involved. But how many days? If you're damn close, I mean, I'll come in there and give you a code, man, if you're damn close. So let's hear it. Anybody?
No, I mean, I don't think. I mean, I'm not. First of all, I don't play Gears multiplayer. That's just not my bag. I play through the single player like a couple of times, and I'm good. It's like Call of Duty. Multiplayer is just not my bag.
Got 100 days, Crispy.
200.
Yeah,
I was thinking 30 days. Oh, so if they're
60 days. Let's go.
1,000 days.
That wouldn't be surprising in the hundreds. But what do you got, like 80 days played in that game?
Yeah, I mean, Fuzzy was probably the closest.
Yeah.
It's 43 days, 12
Wow,
hours,
still a lot of time.
and 7 minutes.
I
man,
thought it was going to
folks.
be a lot more impressive.
Yeah.
Crispy. Let's go. I
Yeah,
mean,
come on, man. There's
where-
Diablo players.
Where's those numbers at? I mean, people have already been
Destiny
posting
2
those numbers on
players. Come on.
Starfield. Let's go.
Well, excuse me if I have a life. Sorry,
I
my
love it.
You got life
friend.
too. That's light.
I mean,
Life.
let's be serious. No. I mean, what the fuck is my? Sorry for the F-bomb. What is my, emoji? Like, I'm always on here.
Mm-hmm.
That is what it is for a reason. I love Gears, and I also think Gears contributed to Game Pass as a whole, and it did something that people don't even realize. They experimented. They did all of these things that nobody was willing to do, and they took heat for it, and they screwed up. I love the fact that there's still a community there, and I can still play with people that are way better than me. You know what I mean? Because they love me. They love my stupidity at times. They love the fact that I call out things before they happen, and then they're like, oh, I should have listened to you, and I'm sorry. These are the type of things that we experience on the Xbox. It's small-minded at times, but when we play a multiplayer game, we look to our team, our party, whatever you want to call it, and we say, like, hey, I'm not good at this type of part, but I see it. And I've done that with Gears for years. And that's where I go and say, like, I see a lot of people that don't talk about Gears much saying, hey, you coming back? We there? We talking about Gears again? What's going on? I see a lot of people that I didn't see before saying, hey, come on, it is time for a new Gears. It's time for something. Give us something. And I love that. I love that. And just like you guys talk about Halo and Call of Duty and all these things, I love that because, well, Call of Duty's now going to be first party. And you know what? You want to call them out and be like, hey, you should wait a year. Well, it's a money-making machine. We're talking like Microsoft's getting close to $3 trillion of worth. Okay. With the open AI and all that stuff. But what are they going to do with it? If they use it for gaming and they actually like put like firewalls and all this other stuff in between, that's what I'm great. I want innovation.
Yeah, but what are
I
you
want to
excited
be
about this
challenged.
year, though? That's really what I want to know, because we know that you're a Gears head. There's no doubt about it, and there is a Gears 6 coming. But for 2023 specifically, what are you grateful for with what has been brought to the service?
Being mindful of your community. That's what I'm grateful for.
I mean, that's community is at the core. It's at the core of anything that we do, especially as the podcasters.
But we're so. I mean, you want to get technical. We're still playing old games, a lot of them, or we're playing a new game and we're stopping playing it. Like, I don't hear about Spider-Man 2 anymore. This is
it's coming.
I want Xbox to continue to do what they're doing. And I've been saying this for years. It's not something new for me. Okay. You want to go back by all means. Okay. But, you look at Halo. They got rid of Bonnie. They got rid of this dude. They got rid of that dude. Okay. They got rid of the old school thought process. But that doesn't mean that you don't have people there that love the game itself and want to make it better. And that's where I get in a tizzy. I'm like, I am thankful for people that love the IP itself. If people love the IP of God of War Ragnarok, another one would be out way sooner than we think. But I don't think that's going to happen. And the fact is like factions. Like, how many people? PlayStation, like, full on, like, I thought they were ponies. And I'm like, nah, you're just a gamer. You want multiplayer in Last of Us. That's what you want. And they continue to say it. And I get it. Like, they've probably said something to some of you guys. They blocked you. But I'm going to tell you right now, the tides are changing. And the one thing I've always went back to is like, I can always go back and play Gears multiplayer. And it still works. It might take a little longer now, but that's the point. You don't have that on the other side. And Nintendo has it better as far as that than Sony does. Wow. As far as exclusives, think about it. Like Smash Brothers, come on. You know what I mean? Like, you can get a multiplayer match in Smash Brothers. I'm just saying. Like MK has stuck to their guns, went back in the day and been like, hey, we're bringing out Terminator, Rambo, all these other characters. And people loved it. I'm just saying, dude.
No, you make a lot of points, but I mean, listen, I do like your answer about the community being what you're most excited about for 2023. I mean, that's incredibly stout, and I think that's really at the cornerstone of what makes any of this work for any of us on our programs. Listen, Fuzzy, before I bring you in, brother, I gotta just catch up on the super chat. It's been a ton of them. Bold Alpha Wolfpack drops quite a few of them. The first one of $5. He says Halo Infinite deserved a better launch as a flagship Xbox game. I'll leave it at that, but at least it's coming around. That's absolutely the truth. Decided D drops a $5 super chat and says, what if Halo does a multiplayer versus series? Halo versus Gears, Halo versus Doom? I would love that. I mean, I'd love to see them do some sort of a combination. Sith Lord, who's been a channel member, folks, for 19 months, says, I hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving. Halo Infinite dead? ? Maybe to them, I would love to play with you guys. Hit me up if we can hop into a match. We certainly will do that. Bold Alpha Wolfpack drops not one, but two additional super chats. The first one of $10 says, Steel Rain. Phil Spencer said it's going to be many games releasing for Xbox. Is going to have a double up. It's going to have to double up on its showcases. Yeah, they're at a point where they're going to have multiple showcases. His second additional $20 super chat says, remember back in the day when you went to buy a cheat code book and it had a demo disc in it? If someone told me, hey, all these games on the disc were full game ID, I'd call you a madman. That's what Xbox did, and it worked. Silver Afro, generous friend of the program, drops an outstanding $20 super chat and says, to the BoomStick community, thank you for holding the line. Happy Thanksgiving. Indeed, brother. Thank you so much for that. Dan the Man Cunningham. You see him during Living Split Screen all the time. He drops $5 super chat and says, thank you. Thankful for all of you, for all that you do for the gaming community. Boom, thank you for keeping me company on a busy and lonely work day. Wishing you the best this season, brother. That's very kind of you, Dan. Thank you very much for the kind words and the generosity. Bold Alpha Wolfpack drops an additional $10 super chat and says, gotta be thankful for Phil Spencer. He was the pebble that changed the course of the river at Xbox when no one believed, when the hashtag fire Phil Spencer was trending. Phil has that dog in him. Yeah, absolutely. Jonas the dad. Jonas, what's going on, brother? He drops a $5 super chat and says, love Xbox Game Pass. My kids get 500 plus games to play for one yearly cost. Awesome. And I spend more on games with Game Pass. I try it. I like it. I buy it. I love it. Libra X drops a $5 super chat and says, Sony are taking the UK lawsuit very seriously, as they have hired Daniel Beard, the same lawyer that Microsoft hired to fight the CMA. That's interesting news, dude. And Gamer by Choice says this after a $5 super chat, says, we have to admit people are not smart. Xbox and Game Pass give you options, but people are ignorant enough to ingest bleach to cure COVID. Enough said. Oh wow, that's deep, brother. Fuzzy Belvedere, what are you thankful for in gaming for 2023? I mean, there are a lot of big choices there. For you, what sticks out the best?
Well, some of this is going to overlap with everybody's talked about already, but the biggest thing is going to be the community, both those in the chat, you guys on the panel, everybody that I interact with in games, whether it's multiplayer or we're just in a party talking while we're each playing our own game kind of thing. Just that in general for a hobby is it's an awesome camaraderie type of thing. Like I used to be big into like the automotive scene as far as being a car enthusiast, going to Cars and Coffee on a regular basis, taking my Jeeps off road, going to trail runs and things like that. Gets pretty expensive and break some parts, replace some parts. Yeah, it definitely wears on the wallet after a while. But this is, I mean, gaming can be an expensive hobby, but overall, there's so many options out there that it's a lot more reasonable. I can get my kids involved, have the whole family involved in gaming, and it not break the bank kind of thing. And it has those moments where, you know, whether you're in a fire team like with me and my sons used to play Insurgency Sandstorm, it was like some of the most awesome times as far as, yes, go-kart racing is great as well, but being in like your own fire team, you know, going through like an enemy squad and stuff like that is also cool moments I always remember. So the community as a whole, both friends, family, panel members, those in the chat, I'm thankful for all of it. I'm also thankful for innovation. Like if you look at this year as a whole, the line between PC and console is blurring even more with these handheld PCs that are kind of consoles in disguise. And I'm all for it because it makes it easier as far as like everyone's mentioned, like the accessibility. You can play pretty much anywhere, however you want kind of thing. Yeah, I kind of feel bad as far as for like physical media aspect of things, but I've been saying all along, I actually prefer digital ever since I did the full switch in 2016. But that's going to be the thing moving forward, that hopefully everybody can either get on board or at least find what works best for them as far as that's concerned. But just in general, the community and then advancements in gaming and the tech that's behind this stuff, and looking forward to see what's on the next horizon. But that's basically it.
Remake Station 5 in the chat says, I was watching a documentary for class. Oh my God, the professor sounded so much like Fuzzy. It was uncanny. That's hilarious. So real quick, okay, so I obviously you guys are still hanging here for a second. We'll get you out. Steel, I'll go to you first. You said something in the green room. We'll talk Call of Duty. Like I said, I'm gonna hang back after everyone gives their answers. I'm gonna extend the show a little bit. Why are you disappointed with the Jez Corden of Windows Central announcement regarding Call of Duty Black Ops the Gulf War?
The biggest reason that I'm personally disappointed is because I want to see Call of Duty refrain itself from being a yearly thing. I don't care what studio's working on what the previous history has been. I thought the problem was that they were churning too much content out. They were making too many games back to back. causing issues internally. Now, just because they're under Microsoft doesn't mean that they need to continue that cycle. This is my problem with games like Call of Duty or games that have been around for some time and don't elevate themselves properly. Call of Duty should be somewhat similar to Fortnite in the way that no matter what you buy, and Call of Duty Mobile does this, which is the other thing that blows my mind about it, because some people in the chat are saying it, and I've also heard it from other people. Oh, Call of Duty makes too much money to do that. COD Mobile makes a darn much more amount of money than COD does on console typically, especially daily, and they have more content on COD Mobile. And again, I know that's been out for some time, but you've also had maps, and you have a game in Modern Warfare 3 as an example, who are literally bringing what Modern Warfare 2 was into Modern Warfare 3, and now we're not going to get an actual quote unquote Modern Warfare 3. Right. And I understand we have Warzone, and we got another version of Warzone coming. We're in Warzone 2. Now we're about to get a Warzone 3. Like, why would you continuously go against the grain for yourself outside of
Warzone Mobile
like
too next year, dude?
But when Warzone Mobile and the next Warzone are supposed to be in tandem with each other, they're supposed to work together. And from what I am getting thus far, it doesn't sound like that's going to be the case. So why tell us that you have this vision for this IP, and then now you're going against whatever that vision that you guys talked about previously was? And again, I know money makes the world turn, and maybe that's some of the basis of why these decisions are getting made. But as cool as I think the Gulf War can be, going back to more of that 90s flow, because again, that if there's a time of war that I would be interested in, it would definitely be that on a campaign standpoint. But I do think that this is also going to be one of the prime opportunities that I use, at least, to say, look, enough is enough. I invested in the Modern Warfare 3 after saying that I had enough with that, only because they were moving things forward. I'm getting all my skins, everything that I invested it's coming with me, along with the other things that I'm getting. And again, and I'm not necessarily happy that I had to pay $70 for that per se, but because it is a glorified $40 expansion. That's exact, and they would have made a ton more money if they would have considered it as that. Maybe it wouldn't have got crucified as hard by Metacritic and everybody else. The game itself also is labeled as a DLC when you look it up. So there's just too many things kind of line up with each other when you ask yourself, what makes the most sense? What makes sense to me is just build up the COD universe. Hey, you're already doing it with the Call of Duty HQ, where, give you an example, Boom. This is going to paint a perfect picture to why I think it's ignorant to continue to move this way. And maybe they'll come off of it from here. Call of Duty HQ. So do you guys know, on PC at least, because this is not a console thing, and it may be, on PC, I have to boot up Call of Duty to get access to Modern Warfare 3. If I want to play Warzone, it has to close all the way back out, has to open up again to get into. It's not a seamless thing like you would expect out of a Master Chief collection.
You're bringing a prime example to us not wanting to do that. You're going through a superb process.
Exactly. It's ignorant. It's an ignorant it's like, it takes the fun, because it's like, and again, is it a big deal? No, but it's not something a console player should deal with, and it's not something that I want to deal with on PC, because it can be a turnoff. It's just I'm having to go through multiple things to get access to this content, instead of you guys focusing on making it more seamless. And there are other games, again, look at Master Chief Collection, that does it seamlessly. And I get it's an online game. There's all these people. You've been working on code that you've had since the original Modern Warfares. Like, there's a lot that goes into it. I get that. But you also have thousands of devs working on this game. When do we say enough is enough? Stop giving us excuses. Stop raking us over the coals. I would rather you wait another 2 years so I can get a Black Ops that I can be excited about, that I can I like Treyarch because of what they've done and proven themselves off of the back of Infinity Ward. Black Ops was very special for that time because it was different, right? And Treyarch is the only other ones, in my opinion, shot the Sledgehammer for the first time in I think a while, getting the Call of Duty right multiplayer wise. But let's be honest, it's just going back to what was there already. So it's hard for me to give them credence for that. But Treyarch is somebody that I look at and be like, oh man, yeah, they have good quality content and they know what to do with Call of Duty, just like Infinity Ward does.
I think
it's a lot.
I mean, Treyarch has done some innovation. I mean, can we agree on that? I mean, seriously, like, and the one thing I'll say is the Gulf War was a tank battle. So imagine like taking control of a tank for a lot of period of time. And this is when the M1 Abrams was introduced, by the way. You know, they were defending Kuwait. Like, a lot of people don't realize that. And they were defending Kuwait because they said no to Iraq. And Iraq decided, hey, we're doing this anyway. And then years later, yeah, we invaded Iraq. But this was the process in 1992-ish, like a different story. Like, they literally introduced one of the greatest tanks in history. And they absolutely destroyed anything that Iraq put at them. And that was like 3, 4, 5 tanks. They had like, thermal imaging. They had all of these things on these. I mean, you could call it just a round, but it really was a missile, and they destroyed everything. And it was incredible. I mean, I've watched all the history on this stuff.
No, I mean, again,
maybe actually went back and actually, said, okay, what actually transpired. And I've watched multiple different, people that have tried to lay it out. And that's when the M1 Abrams came out, and we're still using it to this day. Well, so it has
hopefully that will be, they could bring that. I mean, being Treyarch who they are, you give them a lot of credit. Hopefully they could take what you're saying, because they do equate a lot of what really happened into their games. But I mean, we'll see. For me, I'm excited because I think Black Ops is one of the premier series for Call of Duty. The fact that we're getting one, I don't know how long it's going to be in development. Hopefully, it's not going to be a thrown together game like Modern Warfare is, because Modern Warfare 3 is great. I'm quite enjoying it. Like I said, I enjoyed it for the single player, which is what I play. I don't do the multiplayer. Anyone that I've talked to that does the multiplayer still, they're loving it. They said that that has a lot of innovation for it.
Better than it's ever been. Yeah, 100%.
So
it definitely is. I said that about last year's. I said that about Modern Warfare 2. I was like, man, this multiplayer feels really good. And I'm saying it again about this one. And it's honest. It's for real. It is. And as long as they iterate on this, I think they're in a good place to continue to work on how they plan to expand the Call of Duty HQ to make it easier for people to get access to whatever content that they want, and just make it as seamless as possible.
No problem. So, Steele, I know you got to get out of here, brother. Why don't you sell the brand of Living Split Screen and let us know where we can check that out tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. with Pong Soul.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you can find me, Steel Rain. It's He is a 7 everywhere. Easiest place to type it in is going to be in the Google. I frequent the streets of Twitter, otherwise known as X, and the Xbox ecosystem, just because it works so well between the PC and the console itself. But yes, every Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, and 3 p.m. UK time. I am one of the co-hosts for Living Split Screen, a non-console centric platform covering everything going on within the gaming industry. It's been a lighter news week this week, but as we did today, we're probably going to get into some of the similar topics and expand them out on that RTS level that I always speak to, where we pull ourselves out of the world, look at the darker crevices of the map, pull those resources together so we can build up that foundation, not only for ourselves, but also for those 3 billion gamers that Phil Spencer always talks about. And greatly appreciate you having me on, Boom. I'm gonna rock out because I want to hear what everybody else got to say.
Oh, awesome, awesome.
Nonetheless,
okay, excellent.
but nonetheless, I do appreciate you letting me get a little outro in there, though.
No, listen, it's our pleasure. We want to continue to help you grow your channel. We want to help get more people and more ears and eyes onto Living Split Screen. And speaking of Living Split Screen, the other half of that, Pong Soul,
Yes, sir.
he Steele came at this from a very interesting point of view, as well as Crispy. For me, I'm excited because I'm a Black Ops guy. I did not like Black Ops 4 because it went multiplayer only. It did not have a single player story. Black Ops 3 was the last one to do that. I did not buy Black Ops 4. This is a return, hopefully, to both the multiplayer and the single player. Are you disappointed? Were you hoping for, like what Steele was saying, more of a, hey, let's give them a 2-year break?
I think we all were, or a lot of us were, I should say. I shouldn't say all, but I think a lot of us were, because we talked about this, right? That was one of the potential benefits of Xbox acquiring Activision, would be that they could give Call of Duty a break, but they had already told us, Activision did, that they had the roadmap already laid out for, I believe, through 2026, I think they said, 2027. So the roadmap's already been laid out. And it's going to take a while for them to assimilate into Xbox and all that good stuff before I think we see some big changes. Would I have liked to have seen it? Of course I would have. I think Call of Duty could use a break. I have said that I would like to see, and I think Steele was kind of speaking on this when he was explaining everything being kind of connected and that kind of stuff. I want to see Xbox move Call of Duty to a platform eventually, and where they just add expansions every year, right? Or every 2 years. But everything is connected. The stuff that you do purchase, the skins, all that kind of stuff does carry over. That was one of the big selling points. I was not excited for Modern Warfare 3 this year at all. I was not excited. Just 4 or 5, 6 months ago, I was not going to buy this game. I said it on air multiple times. I was not going to get Modern Warfare 3. I got plenty to play. But when they started talking about it, and yes, I do understand that it's glorified DLC. I understand the concept. I was, out here talking about it, knew that from the beginning. But the fact that they did allow me to carry over my skins, some of the skins that I did, I don't buy a whole lot, folks, but they get me every once in a while. Call of Duty gets creative. I'm still thinking about the Lilith skin from Diablo. But the fact that they allowed me to carry that over, the fact that some, the guns carried over, all that kind of progression carried over, really did speak to me. And then obviously they leaned heavy into the nostalgia. And I said that from the beginning. If you're going to sell me $70 DLC, lean into the nostalgia. But the one thing that did surprise me was the zombies mode. And they got very creative with the zombie. Now, I've seen some people say it's just DMZ and zombies, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I don't like round-based zombies. I'm not the round-based zombie guy. I didn't like zombies until Cold War came out and the open world was introduced. This one is even better. We're having an absolute blast playing zombies. So going forward, I say all that to get to the point. Going forward, I want them to see them continue to connect this Call of Duty world between mobile, between Warzone, between regular MP, between zombies, between all of that. I want to see them continue to work to connect that, and I think they are. But I want to get them to a point where there is a platform, but that's not ready yet. I think that we are still years away from that. They've got the roadmap laid out. So this next one coming next year, I like Blops. I do like Blops. I'm not the biggest fan of Blops. I like some of the other ones a little bit better, but the Gulf War obviously, is an interesting time period, especially now that we know what we know. It's going to be curious. I'm curious about the campaign. It's supposedly going to be focused on the CIA. Well, basically the whole entire war was propaganda as we know it now. So it's going to be interesting to see how they tackle those things. I'm curious about that. So I am going to be looking forward to this one. I'm going to be looking forward to new setting, obviously. Not that we've never seen, a game in this setting, but I'm going to be curious to see the maps. I want to be curious to see how they take the story forward and what they do overall to continue to connect these games together. Are they going to allow us to carry some of the Modern Warfare 3 stuff into this game? Or is it because it's Blops, because they're not ready to do that yet? Are they going to cut us all off and they're just going to start us over from scratch again?
Maybe.
That's where I'll get to it. But, boom, Game Pass. Game Pass is the
Yes.
nullifier of everything when it comes to these situations where I may be on the fence, where I'm curious, but I don't know whether or not I want to invest. It's not going to matter. It's
Right.
going to be there day one for me and millions of other people. And if you want to try it out, you're going to be able to try it out. And that is the difference. So I'm kind of excited because I know what it's going to do for Game Pass for Xbox. This is again not the main reason why they made this acquisition, but obviously it is going to be a huge benefit. But I am obviously excited to be able to jump in there day one without any risk attached to it, see if I like it, and then guess what, folks? On top of that, as the budget gamer, that means I've got a little bit more budget for skins if I want to invest some more skins, right?
It's funny you say that because most people who consider, and again, we know it's not free, folks. Understand, we're not trying to sell you a bag of false goods.
No.
People look at a service at like a Game Pass and they're like, I'm getting it for free because you're paying your $17. We know you're paying.
Yeah.
But Pong's onto something. Because if you are getting this bombastic AAA Call of Duty game, not a clone, actually Call of Duty, you would be more inclined to buy skin A, B, or C because you just got the game for quote unquote free. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly, Boom. And I think that's going to happen for a lot of people. And I think that is kind of the way they're looking at it. That's why I say I would like to see Call of Duty go to a platform eventually and just give out, make expansions every 2 years, whatever it is, make expansions, not $70 per se, unless, they think they can get that, which they might. But I'm just saying, go to expansions, but keep everything integrated because when you develop that kind of ecosystem, it's the same ecosystem we've now seen for decades in MMOs and elsewhere. If you do it properly, people will come back, not just whales, but other people, regular people who now feel like they've invested so much time into, when you make it a platform, it becomes, I just play Call of Duty. It's not, I play Call of Duty Black Ops, or I play, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. It's I play Call of Duty. And you're just living in that world and everything's accessible that you've purchased. It makes it a more friendly proposition when you go to that store to say, I know that no matter what, the expansion that comes 5 years from now, I'm going to be able to use this skin in that expansion 5 years from now. Right? It just makes it more like that. We've seen it all the time. Like I said, World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14, you name it. All the big MMOs out, Fortnite. It doesn't matter. People who buy skins in Fortnite know that no matter what map they come out with, no matter what season it is, they can always go play with their favorite skins, right?
Yep.
So people buy them nonstop. We've seen it, right? The proof's in the pudding. That's why I say I wish it would go to a platform at some point.
Well, hopefully they'll get there eventually because I think you're onto something. I think an overall platform is better growth and more value for the customer. Like if you know that all of your things that you buy are going to be with you in the next Call of Duty, whatever that may be, you'll be more inclined to buy more skins, which ultimately is what they want you to do. Mav, let's bring you in on you're a multiplayer dude. Are you excited for Black Ops Gulf War, or are you kind of on the fence that maybe we should be moving into an every other year Call of Duty?
I mean, I think so for the future, but I think Treyarch's probably ready for this one. I mean, it's been 3 years. They kind of got the potential extra year here because of this Modern Warfare 3 release right now. So for me, it just depends on if the game's ready or not. I don't necessarily care about having to dictate if it's every other year or every 3 years or whatever. It just depends on what have they done the last 3 years to get it ready. And if it's ready, then I'm going to be happy to play it. And I have faith in Treyarch with that. Treyarch's been one of those studios that's picked up a lot of slack in the past for other Call of Duty studios. And I think this is going to be their second one release of this generation, because the last one was Cold War, right? And Cold War for me was one that kind of was hit or miss. I mean, it had some great moments, but it also had some bugs, and campaign was kind of broken at times for me personally. Not something that everybody had experience, but for me personally, I had issues getting through the campaign because of crashes and all that kind of stuff. So this was 3 years later. I want to see what Treyarch did and to push everything forward, right? The setting, super excited about that. I think it sounds awesome. After that game comes out, I think for me, it's personally too early to say that this would change immediately, right? But after a few years, I think maybe we start to see that more more time given, maybe less developers working on it as well, right?
Yeah.
And more doing different projects. So then you have maybe your core Infinity Ward team, you have your core Treyarch team, maybe you have Sledgehammer offering support on both over between those releases, but then maybe those other studios get freed up to make
Toys
other
for
games.
Bob.
Right.
And
And I think that's something that they just, I mean, those studios have already been helping on this game. You know what I mean? So it's like, why not release it if it's gonna be ready? So for me, it's like, hey, go ahead and put it out. It'll probably be the first title that's in Game Pass at launch as well. So that's gonna be awesome. I don't have to worry about spending $70 on it. So that takes that aspect away of it. And I think we'll go from there. I think 3 years from now, 4 years from now, we'll be looking at potentially a different future with COD and seeing that extended out where it's like, and we're also going to get more different games that are going to be announced from
dude, I can't wait.
So that's going to be the most exciting thing for me. But until that happens, I think it's going to stay status quo for the next 2 or 3 years, probably.
I am a little disappointed that they said that was going to be cross-gen still, though. That's the word.
Yeah.
It's still going to be cross.
I
wish they would ditch it.
I don't personally care about that anymore. For a game like Call of Duty, it's like, I mean, they're talking about putting the Call of Duty on the next Switch, right? I mean, you're already talking about the next Switch is probably going to be the same power as last generation anyway, and like
it's true. It's a good point. It's a valid point, Mav.
They've pushed the graphics.
Yeah, COD don't need to be.
They pushed the graphics so far in the campaign and Call of Duty and stuff anyway. I don't really feel like it's held back personally. And also I've started to care less about the whole, last gen, current gen thing, except when it comes to gameplay design. Because if a game is like, it's got its traditional campaign multiplayer, it's like it can be scaled, right? But then a game like Starfield can't really be,
Right.
So that's where like I think it matters more for me. But the games that have been cross-gen, I've been getting the best experience on this Xbox Series X.
Had that conversation.
So it's like, for me, I don't care about that necessarily anymore, but I get what you're saying. You want them to push every bell and whistle possible. But I think maybe later in the generation, we'll hopefully see them do, it would be amazing to talk about the future of COD. See something groundbreaking we've never seen before, like 5 or 6 years before. And that's when I think we would see like that evolution away from like cross-gen.
Yep. Good points.
To your point, Silver Afro in the chat says, I think Gulf War was already in the pipeline. It will be another 2 to 5 years before Microsoft can set the new schedule. And I think he's onto something right along with you, Mav. But Crispy, let's get your take on 2024's Black Ops. Do you want to see Microsoft's involvement potentially get these games into an every other year schedule rather than every year as they've been doing for quite a bit?
I mean, they want to make money. We're obvious about that.
But see, that's the thing. They have Warzone for that, and Warzone Mobile is going to make money. I would love to see them give these teams a break, man. I don't know.
I mean, I get it. I do. The one thing I'll say is that the Gulf War is absolutely perfect to establish something that happened in 2005 and take something from Battlefield. If you're establishing that's the Gulf War, okay, you've established that. All right. Now, maybe it doesn't come to fruition. Maybe Microsoft changes whatever. But as of now, we're thinking the Gulf War. The Gulf War was a hub of innovation. One of the most strategical and thoughtful wars I've ever seen in my life. Because we do call it the Gulf War for a reason. And you go and look back at Battlefield 2, the OG Battlefield 2, 2005, when you could change from whatever character you wanted to a certain point. People don't realize you can go infantry, then you can go to helicopter pilot, then you can go to tank person, and that was in the campaign. And it made you realize how big war is and how complex it is. And the Gulf War was, I mean, you heard about it, but you didn't see as much as it really was. And it came down to innovation. It came down to having a stance and saying, like, look, Kuwait is a country and we're going to back them up. And that's something that hasn't been touched. That's something that they could make into something that challenges their one game that I hear people say, oh, well, you know, Battlefield 2042 is pretty good as far as multiplayer. But that's what they got. Nobody talks about the other Battlefields. Why not take something from them? You're allowed to. It's been 10 plus years. Come on.
No, it's true. It's true. But I hope they deliver.
You know, it's one of those things like you look up World of Tanks, for example. People still play that game. It's not supposed to be. I mean, you know, God, you know, rocket cars or whatever you want to call it. You know, soccer cars. I don't know. People call it whatever they want. It's still there. You know, EA and Battlefield has innovated at times. And it's almost like they've been too far ahead. And then if you can go back for a second and let people that, you know, not mainstream. I mean, Call of Duty's mainstream. You look at that and you say, oh man, like, you know, could I be a tank commander for a day? Like, and a day is like a couple hours in the game. You know what I mean? Can I be a part of that? I think if they go back a little bit, but also, I mean, we're talking Gulf War. I mean, this is 20 years ago. You know what I mean? 20 plus years ago. It's something that we've lived through, but not everyone has.
No, it's true.
But if you do it right, I think it would be something incredible. And it would also spawn a lot of other multiplayer elements from it. And it would make them revenue at the end then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, Call of Duty is going to make money no matter what. It's making money right now, even though it was given a 43 out of 100 by PC Mag. Look, for me, I think Crispy's onto something. Going back that far, I'd like to see what the Gulf War looked like. If Call of Duty continues to tell the stories as we know that they can, we're going to get a pretty stout story. I'd like to see what multiplayer would look like in the Gulf, how they would transition that from real life to game. Listen, real quick, let me just read this. Shine Film says, I'm looking forward to see what Treyarch does with the first 4-year dev cycle for Call of Duty. It's also, I'm thankful for arguably the best year in gaming history. Absolutely, brother. He's been a channel member for 4 months. Now, before we get everyone out of here, and thank you guys on the panel for staying. This is the longest show that we've ever done on Breakfast with Boom. Let's get Fuzzy Belvedere's hot take, and then we'll do the outros and we'll get you guys to start your Friday. For you, where do you kind of fall? Because everyone's had great points.
Yeah.
Steele started us off with he's not really happy with the fact that we're getting a Call of Duty Gulf War next year, and his points were finite.
Mm-hmm.
For you, are you happy that we're going to the Gulf War, or do you kind of want to see a break?
I kind of wanted to see a break because and also I'm not the biggest Black Ops fan. I'm more of a
Okay.
Modern Warfare fan, but the whole reason when I signed up for the military was because of the Gulf War. So I signed up in '92, basically at the tail end of it, because I was, a teenager prior to that. So for the most part, I'm looking forward to it. I've wanted more games to focus on that time frame, just because that's when I went into the army. But as far as the annual setup, I hope that at some point, kind of like what Pong said, they do kind of more of a platform thing where either Warzone is the annual update or quarterly update where you get content and stuff like that, and sparse out the Call of Duty titles, as far as the main campaign, make them either every other year or every 2 to 3 years or something along those lines, where some of these teams can also focus on possibly other passion projects and things like that. Like we've seen what Microsoft does with some of their other studios when they're allowed to have a passion project and it winds up sparking a new IP that people enjoy. So it'd be nice to
Grounded.
see. Yeah, exactly. So it'd be nice to see what Treyarch and Infinity Ward and Raven Studios and all of them can kind of do outside of the Call of Duty world. But Gulf War, I'm going to be there for day one, especially with it being in Game Pass. I'm still like one of those wait and see kind of things. I know it's going to be in Game Pass, but I still get like a weird feeling that there's going to be some sort of weird, last minute contract thing that like makes it so it doesn't appear for a month or two. I hope I'm wrong, but outside of that, Call of Duty in general, I think it's now to the point where if they continue to have things have like your skins and stuff carry over, I think that'll just make it for a bigger world, and it'll show overall how that as a games as a service will work. Maybe showing other teams over at Team Blue how they should do things, because it looks like Destiny is having its own little speed bumps and whatnot. But overall, looking forward to it just because of the time frame, the environment, the scene, the particular war that they're going to be detailing in it. But outside of that, I've never really been a Black Ops fan. Always Modern Warfare, and this will be like the perfect culmination for me, because Cold War for me, I didn't have any of the bugs. It was it was very interesting or to my liking for like the first 3/4 of it, and the last quarter of it seemed like they kind of rushed it a bit, especially when you try to do the multiple endings and things like that. So hopefully this one, having 4 years, I think, of development, hopefully they don't have it where the tail end kind of tapers off a bit. But overall, I'm looking forward to see what this is going to be like and where we go from there. And hopefully, the following year, they can focus on Warzone more, readily, and then hold off on like maybe a mainstream Call of Duty outside of like maybe a DLC or an expansion or something like that. Like an expansion for, the Gulf War would be nice. Maybe lead into, the desert conflict that we had. What was that in like 2002 or 2003?
Desert Storm.
Well,
Yeah.
I refer to Desert Storm as like the 90s one. I don't call the second half Desert Storm. But yeah, we'll see what they do as far as expansions beyond that. But I always want to see more of like the Desert Storm or the 90s warfare that we had over in Iraq and how that went and how they can explore that with the campaign. That I'm really looking forward to.
Nice. Well, listen, folks, that's going to do it for us. 3 hours, 2 minutes in. Steel Rain has already done his his outro. Obviously, tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Living Split Screen, him and, of course, Pong Soul will be there to drop a lot, probably a 3+ hour show, I would definitely gather, along with a bunch of topics. Pong Soul, let's get you out of here. Where could people check you out on other programs, and more importantly, reach out to you on social media?
Yeah, what a great morning. Boom. It was such a pleasure to be back here with you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you guys for hanging around 3 hours.
This is a light show for most of us here, right? So no, this was just freaking amazing. Boom. So glad I got to be here this morning. It's been so long since I've gotten on Double Barrel Gaming. Chat, Guys are incredible. Again, just all love and respect to each and every single one of you who supports any of these shows. But you guys just have such great discussions during the entire show. Sometimes it's on with whatever we're talking about. Sometimes you guys are off having your own discussions about some other topic. But it's always just fun to watch everybody. Again, as I say in all the shows, you guys are much a part of the show as we are. Without you, there is no show. It's us in our game chat just talking the same nonsense, right? So thank you all for being here. Thank you for contributing. It's great to see a lot of familiar faces from back in the day when I was on here on a regular basis, but man, what a way to be back. So thank you all of you. Otherwise, as Boom just got done saying, tonight, let's start tonight. We got Xbox Ultimate tonight over on Fun Speculation Network. Mav's going to tell you about that, but 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. The fam gets together on Friday nights. We never know who's all going to be at the dinner table, but we have a lot of laughs and we talk a lot of gaming. So it can go crazy. It can get wild. It can get weird, but you got to be there because it is fun no matter what. So
Psycho won't be there tonight. So.
Oh, that's right. He is working late tonight, Black Friday. I forgot. But wow, we've had our moments without Psycho too.
Yeah.
But anyways, so join us tonight on Xbox Ultimate. But tomorrow morning, set those alarms, set those reminders. Steel, Rain, and I will be live 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. Living split screen. Split screen is all one word. Buckle up. Again, you never have to be awake to join our show in the chat, okay? We'll bring the energy for you about an hour in. You guys should be ready to rock and roll for your weekend, but just join us. 3+ hours, buckle up, get ready. We're going to have a lot to get into tomorrow, even though it was a light news week. Steele and I find some way to talk about a lot of different things. And normally the chat actually brings up some topics that we get involved with and talk about too. So be there for Living Split Screen tomorrow morning. And then of course, tomorrow night, it's the Shop Podcast, PTK Blam's channel. Blam, one of the best hosts in the business. Be there tomorrow night.
Phenomenal.
It's the best way to end your Saturday night. The Shop Podcast, PTK Blam, Fuzzy Belvedere, and myself. Fuzzy, do we got guests tomorrow night? I don't remember. I'm sure we
I'm
probably
not sure.
do.
I don't think we do.
I don't know. Anyways, best way to end your Saturday night, be there 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Central Time, and then next week it starts all over again. Of course, you got to show up here. I do this, even though I'm not on Xbox Factor anymore, I still promote it because of what Boom does for the rest of the community. So every Tuesday, be right back here. Of course, Boom's on 5 days a week. We know that. He's a Terminator. But you got to be here Tuesdays for the Xbox Factor podcast, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. All good things green on Tuesdays. And then Thursday night, it's PM in the PM. Pong and Mav in the PM. Obviously, we didn't have a show last night due to Thanksgiving. We'll be back next week, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time. Be there for me and Mav. We have a great time on Thursday nights. Otherwise, it's the golden age of gaming, people. Get out there. Enjoy your weekend. Have a great rest of your Friday. Play what you love. Love what you play. And I'll talk to you all real soon. Thanks again, Boom, for the invite.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Mav, sell the brand, brother. Sell the brand to the people still here. Over 400 people here. We got to talk about the Fun Speculation Network. You got a lot of shows and you do a lot. And especially some of my favorites are those impromptu ones that you just get in front of the mic. You start playing something like Forza Motorsport and you go on your, Mav rants, as you're known for. Talk about it, sell the brand, and where can people reach out to you on social media?
Yeah, I appreciate you inviting me, Boom. Absolutely a blast here hanging out with the fellas. But if you guys want to check us out, tonight there's a show. It's Xbox Ultimate Podcast at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find that over on Fun Speculation on YouTube. If you want to find out more information on all of our shows, just follow on X at Fun Speculation, and you can find out lots of stuff there. Other shows, like Pong said, we got Thursdays, PM in the PM. That goes live 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursdays. And then Mondays, we do Fun Speculation Podcast at 10 p.m. Eastern. And then Tuesdays, Fun Pop at 10 p.m. Eastern, where we talk about movies and TV shows. And if the mood is right, and if there is something energetic to talk about, I will go live for a Mavcast and just let loose on some stuff as Boom is talking about as well. But appreciate you all. It's a great time. And I can't wait for the show tonight. I hope to see some of you there.
Brother, thank you so much. Crispy Bombs, sell your brand, brother. Where could people reach out to you and strike up a conversation on social media? And what else you got going on, dude?
At Chris Baum on Twitter, Chris Baum 20, Xbox Live. And you can find me on Boom's channel Breakfast with Boom is not going to happen in the next couple of weeks, but
Yeah, you said that you were working.
yeah, unfortunately, I have to work.
I mean, it's real life. We're gonna
Vacations,
miss you.
vacations, but
Oh, okay.
maybe Xbox Lunch Break Special, maybe
Potentially, yes.
maybe the following week Xlog Live.
Oh, that's a
I don't know. I've never
You're
been
always
on
welcome, brother. You got the key
there.
to the front door. Yeah, you go. Well, you got the key to the
Never
front
been
door. You
there.
just walk yourself
It's the
in. Yeah,
one.
I think have you been there? Oh, yeah, I think you sure.
No, I
Oh,
haven't.
okay. We have
And
to
that's
fix
the
that.
Thursdays, so Thursdays are hard to do for me. But the following week, yeah, you might see me there. And
Awesome.
I just want to say I love everybody. You all are great in your own way, and just respect each other's opinions, because
Absolutely, for sure.
at the end of the day, you might learn something, and it takes a lot, but learn something from each other, and also don't let these huge companies take from your wallet. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like,
Be smarter.
yes, exactly. And that's all I have to say to you. Happy Turkey Day, gobble gobble. I know I put out multiple memes that are weird for some people, but I feel like Kenny half the time when he was on South Park in the first season, and just getting pecked at everywhere. Okay, retail workers, it sucks to be a retail worker, but we still love you.
Yeah. Well, listen, we love
We
you, brother.
still love
Thank you
you.
so much. Yeah. Well, thank you for being here as always, and of course, you showing up on the other shows. We get you on the Xlog for sure. Last and no way least, Fuzzy Belvedere, sell the brand of the best place for anything and everything racing. And you're closing in on 500 subscribers on your YouTube channel. Sell that brand, brother. And more importantly, where can people reach out to you on social media?
Well, just want to start by thanking you for having me on. It was awesome being on here with you guys. Always awesome being on here with the extended family. Always love being on here with Crispy, Steel, Mav, Pong, and you as well, Boom. Well, for those that want to see more of my I guess you could say slanderous takes and stuff, I'll also be on later on tonight on Xbox Ultimate on Fun Speculations channel, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Mav's channel. Definitely check us out. And then on Saturday, like Pong said, on the Shop Podcast with me, Pong, and PTK Blam on PTK Blam's channel at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Look forward to seeing you guys there. And then hopefully everybody in the chat come right back here for Monday for Xbox Lunch Break Special, 12 noon. Hope to see Crispy there as well, Web Dave, Crazy Lou, and you as well, Boom, and everybody in the chat. Thank you so much for taking the time and joining us. Greatly appreciate it. Thanks again.
Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, a big thank you to all of the amazing super chats that came in today. The channel memberships continue to grow. Mrs. Boom and I cannot thank you enough for the generosity. And of course, we like pouring that back into the community. We do have a big giveaway, which we'll be breaking down as we get closer into the end of December. But we are giving away in 1 2-hour show, folks, $1,500, 10 regular prizes of $100 gift cards, and 2 grand prize winners are going to walk away with a $250 gift card each to their platform of choice. That includes Steam, Xbox, PSN, or Nintendo eShop. And of course, we can't do that without the help of the community through super chats and of course through channel memberships. And to add, we want to close out the show as we normally do, folks. And we're going to say a big thank you for being here. But it's something that my pop taught us when we were kids. It's incredibly important to me. Hopefully one day be important to you. And that's this: treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.